over our cities, over our communities. Because when you put your hand on us, everything will turn around for our good. So we give everything to you because we know that you can handle it. And we ask you, Lord, to bless this meeting on tonight. We thank you for all you continue to do in our lives. In your precious name, amen.
Amen. Say the prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Hey. Put this in.
Going through our ceremonial matters, we're asking for any additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda.
Yes, Mayor, we have two. One, we got some information back from Volusia County involving the issue of sidewalks on county right-of-way and city requirements. So they sent over some language in reference to that, so we could add that, and we could put that under 10, under the city administrator aspects. And I handed you all out the sheet involving the language that the county sent over.
Okay, under 10.
Yeah, and then on
Sidewalks.
Sidewalks, county right of way.
Okay.
And then the other was the committee from the work session on the CAC. Just wanted to do just a brief update in reference to some of the steps that have taken place in this meeting we had Thursday at the CAC group today. I think Cookie and his crew will discuss that. And maybe we could put that under presentations.
Okay, presentations. Several presentations. So the last one is the spring summer events. Make that D.
Yes.
Give me a description again. D is the
The CAC committee.
CAC committee. Thank you.
City Hall / CAC committee. Second.
That'll work. Anyone else? I'm going to add presentations. We have the Boys and Girls Club, which has the Youth of the Year. And this year's Youth of the Year for the 8 clubs comes from right here in Lake Helen. And the first time that we had the Youth of the Year from Lake Helen, it was that guy, Sean Apshot. So we have the second time that the city of Lake Helen has now been represented, will be represented in the statewide competition for the Youth of the Year, and then it'll go to that point. So for that point, I'm going to add, I'm going to ask that our esteemed Youth of the Year will come up and give us a little bit of a piece of who he is and why he's here. It's the Youth of the Year. The other thing I would like to add is that since he's coming and representing the Youth of the Year from the Boys and Girls Club, we have the new CFO for the Boys and Girls Club. Here she is, Ms. Kamisha Whitaker. She will also come and give us part of his presentation or her own presentation. They said she wasn't coming.
Apologies for my tardiness.
Yeah, glad you're here. Make it be known that Commissioner Rogers is now coming to our meeting. So, any more? I think not. Okay, so I wanted to also mention that those of you who are Bulldog fans, if you notice, if you recognize the voice, that was Reverend Kevin King, who was the voice of the Bulldogs. He was the guy that did all of their football, also basketball, commentators. Since Mr. Rutledge, we've gone past additions, modifications. Did you have anything you would like to add?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. On that note, since we have them here early and we want to get them through, I ask that, first I'll ask that our new CFO, would she please come to the podium and introduce our Youth of the Year. Public forum, hold on, sit down.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get ahead of myself. Okay, we have the public forum, and if you'd like to participate in the public forum, if you send out the yellow slip, you'll be able to speak about anything you want. You have 3 minutes to do it. And I have 4 public forums. Anyone else? Okay. First one I have here, I'll take them in the order I see them. I don't know which way they came. Connor? Is this Connor? Yes, this is Connor. He's not here yet. Okay. Belinda De Leano? De Leano? This is the drainage. Okay, Miss Alan Cook? Oh, hold on, Alan Cook. Yeah, you're the last one. Miss Alan Cook? This is for public forum.
Well, I'll hold off on that. I'm gonna get up and speak.
You do have it, you're on the agenda for the CAC.
Yes.
Okay, so now leave that aside. Is there anyone else? With no one else speaking, we will now come to Ms. Commissioner Whitaker, CFO. You want the presentations before we... No, she's doing it first. No, this is just an introduction to our Youth of the Year, and since she is...
He's going into the question whether it was cool.
Yes.
Mayor, can I ask a quick
Yes,
question?
sir.
Quick question.
Please.
Since they're not here, then, so we're closing public forum.
Yes, I guess that would be the next best thing to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay? If they come in,
It's closed unless you reopen it.
okay. And I'm surprised that they got them in advance and didn't show up, but they must have wanted to get this.
Those are the same ones from last week.
That's last week.
Last
Last week, they just gave these, and they did come last week.
month. They were here last month.
Maybe they're on the calendar.
They're probably on the calendar.
We will then dispose of these. This is from last week. You're right, Roger. Roger,
Mayor, we're not USAID. We're not burning and destroying records.
All right. So let me get a handle on things. Now, as you can see, we all the chaos here. So, Bobby, would you want to come up with her, stand beside her?
Sure.
Please give me your name and your address.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, everyone in the public. I am pushing. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and public represented all. I am Dr. Kamisha Whitaker Samuel, and just for the sake of the record, I am not the new CFO. I'm the new CEO. CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Volusia, Flagler counties. And just as a point of reference, because many of you I do not yet know in the room, and so that you know a little bit about who I am and who we are, and I'll be mindful of time. I have spent most of my life in youth development, and this is home for me. So many people have probably read the newspaper and heard I came from Atlanta here, but the reality is my family considers this home. I received my undergraduate degree from Bethune-Cookman University. My husband received his undergraduate degree in aviation from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. We went on to study and do masters and doctorates and all the things, but kept coming home. And so most recently, yes, I was in Atlanta for a company called Propel, funded by Apple, funded by Southern Company to the tune of $50 million to help upskill HBCU students all across the country, and built an amazing platform to be able to do that. And when the opportunity became available to come and serve at home, I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we were able to garner that kind of support and deliver that kind of innovative, future-forward, future-focused opportunity for our young people here. The answer for me was a clarion call and really a passion fulfillment. And so I decided to answer that call. There were 200 plus applicants, and I succeeded with unanimous support from the board. So it is a delight for me, with my schools being educated, my kids being educated, our kids being educated in our school system here, to come back home to serve at home. So I wanted to make that clear, that the role of CEO really, I take it seriously, but it is to become your CEO of your Boys and Girls Clubs. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to address you all today, because we have the unique opportunity and benefit of having one of our 8 sites right here in your backyard in Lake Helen. And my understanding is we've had an incredible partnership for many, many years. And so I'm grateful for that partnership. My desire, vision, and interest really is to expand innovation, to deepen and strengthen authentic partnerships in our community, and ensure that the Boys and Girls Clubs, the next iteration of what we do and how we serve our kids in this community, not just fulfills your own mission, but fulfills theirs. And so tonight, I want to shout out, as the mayor mentioned, one of our very own, from the Lake Helen Club. Of the 8 clubs that we have across Volusia and Flagler counties, Lake Helen is one of our strong clubs of the 8. We serve over 2,000 students. There is room to serve more of the 70,000 students across both counties. And so we are delighted tonight, and I know that Mayor takes a little bit more bragging rights, as many of the commissioners here will, that Joshua Courts, a member of our staff and part of the Lake Helen City Club for Boys and Girls Club, is the winner this year for the national competition that we know as Youth of the Year, which is really a focus on leadership, rhetorical ability, critical thinking, and all the things in terms of forensics. And you should know that the winner of the local clubs goes on to state. So he'll represent all the boys and girls of this community at our state conference and state competition. And then the National Youth of the Year for all Boys and Girls Club across the country will compete. And the winner usually gets a vehicle, college scholarships in the amount of over $20,000, right, Ms. Yvette? And so I want to acknowledge the very competent and effective leadership of the unit director, who herself grew up in our clubs 33 years ago, Ms. Yvette Roman, and then she will just introduce Joshua Courts to you, and he'll share a little bit, and I'll be out of your way. But I desire to get to know each of you better, not just for your roles as commissioners and leaders in our community, but for the people that you are who serve and live in our community. It is your Boys and Girls Club. So if you see me running in the wrong direction, don't let me jump over the cliff. Tap me and say, hey now girls, you know, we need to do it collaboratively and together. So it's my humble pleasure to serve this community. Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Yvette Roman, everybody.
So I'm excited to announce, and myself growing up in the Boys and Girls Club, Mr. Rocky, well, we know him better as Rocky, Joshua Courts. He came up as a young kid in the Boys and Girls Club, and then he is here today as our junior staff and now local or organizational Youth of the Year, and he will compete. And this is just a reflection of what we do. And thank you again, Lake Helen. We can't thank you enough. Myself, I started over here at the Lake Helen Boys and Girls Club as a junior staff, and I was only in high school, and we've come so far. And I just love to share these stories of success amongst our members, and thank you for allowing us to be in your community and creating all these changes within these children's lives. Here's Joshua Courts.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am Joshua Courts, known as Rocky, and I am proud to say that I am the winner of Youth of the Year of 2025. It was about 10 years in the making, realistically, all speaking, because I went to the club when I was around 8 or 7, I can't remember, and at that time, I remember walking in the building and just meeting one of the other unit directors, Mr. Chance, and I just thought he was just a normal person. I never thought that walking in there, just just to sign up for the club would get me to where I'm standing right now. Sorry, it's just emotions.
Good.
I'll give you a minute to think.
Yes.
He was one of my Cub Scouts too, so.
Yeah.
We're all very proud of you.
Very proud of you, Josh. Congratulations.
Yes. Yes.
I just thought,
What you should know about this young man standing before you, if there's any story you could think about hard knocks and perseverance and resilience, he's had to overcome it to be here today. So excuse him for being overwhelmed. His life has been overwhelmed, but we've taken him on and he's been overwhelmed by love now and by direction and by learning, and he is off to the races. Thanks to you being gracious enough to allow us to have a club in your neighborhood. So thank you, everybody. Joshua, for the
thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Just a question. Sean was the last one.
Yes, he was the first one.
So-
Sean Apshar.
So, Sean, did you pass on your hairdo?
And he asked me, that's what his hair do, okay.
I believe Miss Alyssa was the last one. Miss Alyssa was the last one.
Excuse me?
She's also part of the, was it senior staff? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She was there? Yes.
Okay, something that was supposed to be on the additions, which is on its way. Ms. Cusack, who is the director of the Massey James Youth Center, will be closing down. And she had asked, could we put her on the agenda so that they have a Wednesday group that meets on Wednesdays at 10 to 1, and they'd like to know if they could meet over at Melissa Park. She's on her way here because she could not get the computer thing together. So she's coming here to present the request. That's just want to let you know that's why she's not here now. I guess we are moving on to our TPO. Okay, is there anything else that I need to say?
She's getting.
Oh, there she is.
And we added Cookie. Does he just after the end of it?
Okay. We're going to move into our presentations now. So, TPO, Spike and Walt.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. I'm not with the TPO. I'm with a nonprofit organization called Bike Walk Central Florida. Just for a correction for your agenda. And in your packet is a presentation that I'm going to walk you through and try to be very descriptive for the audience today so they get a feel and an understanding for the programs that our nonprofit organization supports. But to begin, my name is Emily Bush. I'm the Executive Director of Bike Walk Central Florida. We are a local 501c3 nonprofit that works to improve the walkability, bikeability, and rollability for communities across Central Florida. We've been serving the Central Florida community since 2010 and have recently expanded our operations and our programs and services into Volusia County. I'm happy to say that I'm a Volusia County resident, so I'm very excited for this expansion so that I get to serve my own community. And today I'm here to present to you our signature pedestrian safety program, Best Foot Forward. This program was funded by the Department of Transportation, Florida FDOT, for the last 2 years in Volusia County. And now we are seeking local government participation and support to fund the remainder of that program year over year. And we have some costs at the end of the presentation that I'll go over with you as well. But I really want to start with why. What's the need to have a pedestrian safety program? And I'm not sure if the audience or you're all aware that we're actually one of the most dangerous places in the country to walk. Every year, thousands of people are struck and fatally killed or seriously injured just trying to cross a street. We know that on the news we see on a regular basis that our school-aged children, our regular neighbors and our community members can't cross the street because it's too dangerous. So they have to take other modes of transportation that sometimes it's not equitable and it's not viable for them to do. And so our programs help design low-cost engineering solutions to help reinforce the driver yield law, which is a state statute that requires a driver to stop and let someone cross the road, right? And so part of our education and our programming is to take a 4E approach, and that's what's listed in your presentation, and like I said, I'm going to try to describe that for the audience today. But part of the reason we do this is because in the last 10 years or so, our roads have become much wider, we are driving much faster, our vehicles have gotten much bigger, and so when they strike someone, it is often fatal. And so we have to work together to improve not only the infrastructure of our community, but driver behavior, and just acknowledgement that our community members do deserve to get from one side of the road to the other, whether it be for school or for commerce or to come to a place like this. And so we realize that there are different aspects that our programs can focus on to improve that driver behavior or to improve infrastructure in our community. And we chose the low-cost engineering and data collection methodology in order to improve information and data that we provide our partners and our law enforcement community to help them use really limited resources where we need them most. I'll start with the data collection aspect. We hire part-time individuals. These are community members, these are students or seniors that we pay to cross the road. They do so a certain number of times during the day, at different times of the day, and we take that data and we bring it back to our community to inform what we can do to improve either the education that needs to happen or the infrastructure. And like I said, we focused on low-cost engineering solutions. We also work with our local law enforcement partners. So maybe you've seen on the news recently about Operation Best Foot Forward. That's where we go out and we educate the driving public on that state statute and require them to stop and or yield to people that have intent to cross the road. Put their foot in the crosswalk as the state statute requires. But also to remind them that it's the civility that we have amongst our community members to just stop and wait a few seconds for them to cross safely. We also know that driving has become very distracting. We have these devices, we have kids yelling in the back of the car, so it's really difficult to focus on the rules of the road. And so our education, our enforcement, and our data collection really remind drivers in our community how to overemphasize where people need to cross and the important infrastructure that's necessary to get people from one side of the road to the other. We have a lot of success stories. You'll see that in your packet today. I'll try to describe a couple of these for our audience. We've been working with Volusia County Sheriff's Office for the last 2 years, and we've been enforcing Ocean Shore Boulevard and Tom Rennick Park, which is a popular location for people to access the park that's there. They've done 2 details to date, so they've enforced that crosswalk twice, and they've issued 75 warnings and citations to drivers. When we started collecting data at that crosswalk, 19% of drivers stopped and yielded to people that were trying to cross the road. After the warnings and citations were issued through the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, that driver yield rate went up to 42%, so it doubled overnight because of the enforcement efforts and because of our data collection that we were able to share with the Sheriff's Office and tell them this is where our efforts need to be. I will take it to a local community, not here in Volusia County, but the town of Oakland. We have worked with the town of Oakland for the last 4 years, and we have enforced Oakland Avenue and the Oakland Charter School, where children cross the road twice a day to get to school. They've done 4 details to date, have issued 49 warnings and citations. That crosswalk started out at 43%, and now it's closer to 60%, just because they've been enforcing the driver yield law at that location, and reminding drivers that it's the state law to stop and let our school-aged children cross the road and give them the time that they need to do so safely. A part of our program then looks at what the data collection tells us. And we, as engineers and planners, I'm a certified planner. I actually teach planning at the University of Central Florida, so I have a little bit of expertise in this. So we will actually work with our public works departments and our traffic engineers to install signage and stripe the crosswalk. It's really that simple. We are not asking to rebuild roadways because we can't do it. But we do need to put crossings and signage where it's appropriate, where people do need to get from one side to the other. So we have some great examples of some of the engineering that we've done in the town of Oakland again, at West Colonial Drive, a big major thoroughfare, and Oakland Avenue. We advocated from the Florida Department of Transportation to add what we call a leading pedestrian interval. Basically, a 5-second head start for people that are trying to cross a 7-lane major roadway. And it worked. The driver yield rate increased from 45% to 80%. And it was just a signal timing. It didn't cost anyone anything. And we were able to improve the driver yield rate overnight. Another example is in the city of Castleberry. This small community has a crosswalk on North Winter Park Drive and Bridle Path. And they installed in-street paddle signage. So very simple. And they added some striping. That total project cost was $2,400. And it made a huge impact. The driver yield rate went from 26% to 68%. With no enforcement, just installing that paddle sign. That paddle sign has since been struck, and it's been replaced at $40, which is a lot less than a life. And the impact that losing a life would have on your community and the people that have lost that individual. With this, we also do education. We come to presentations like this. We come to community events. We do HOA meetings. We'll do pop-ups at the library or the DMV, just to remind drivers that people walking, biking, and rolling using wheelchairs, moms with strollers, and any type of small device with wheels has the right by the state law to get from one side of the road to the other. And through our partnership with the Florida Department of Transportation, the Volusia Flagler TPO, and with Volusia County, the government, we have been able to do this across Volusia County. So I am asking you today to think about including the Best Foot Forward program in your repertoire of services that you provide your citizens, reminding drivers that come in and out of your community the importance of letting your community members get from one side of the road to the other. In addition, our program services also come with advocacy and expertise, so we can show you where crosswalks need to be installed. Work with and liaison with the local government partners to make sure that it's installed correctly and it's not a burden on your community and on your citizens. So I ask you today to think about that as you go into your budget season, and let me know if you would like to participate in the Best Foot Forward program in fiscal 26. I am happy to answer any additional questions you may have at this time. Thank you.
What would you be expecting, requesting us to do that would help you?
So at the very end of the presentation, there is some costs associated with the program. We have bundles, as we call them. So it depends on the number of crosswalks you want to monitor and collect data at. It also depends on what your community needs are. We can very much customize those costs for you and what those and what that can entail. And it really is just a conversation with our organization. Like I said, we're a nonprofit, so we take grant funding. We can do a sole source procurement option, or we can take a P card. We take it all. But it's just having the conversation and including the program in your services and the things that you offer next fiscal year.
Is that the page 28?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and I heard you talking about the citations issued and the driver yield rate. But could you go over on page 27, it does talk about the decline in serious injuries. Mm-hmm. And so what does that look like for a city our size, or a city of about 3,000 like we are?
Sure. So that graph actually represents the Metro Orlando region. So it does not include Volusia County. So that region was the #1 most dangerous by design in a Smart Growth America report, and that's where our program was initiated. And we worked obviously over time to increase the driver yield rate. And obviously with other partners, we're not the silver bullet, right? It takes a village to do this. So we worked with our communities to reduce those numbers, as you can see. We have not done that analytics for Volusia, Flagler County. Today, I believe Volusia, Daytona Beach area, this whole community, is number 1 or number 2 on that dangerous by design list. So that's one of the reasons why we've decided to extend our programming north into the communities that now have or sit on that top 10 list. Orlando metro area has dropped from number 1 to number 18 to date. So I can tell you that working with other local communities, I'm doing these presentations all across the cities and the county of Volusia and Flagler. Actually on St. Patrick's Day, next Monday, Flagler County is joining the programs. We're doing a proclamation and a presentation to their county council. So it's not just you all. We have to ask everybody to participate, but it does start with you. And it starts with our small municipalities that band together, that bring this program to your community and put their best foot forward, pun intended.
So as far as a city our size, we don't have any analytics on that because we are, Orlando is certainly different than Lake Helen in the way that it is, it's just different. We're very urban.
So that's from Sanford all the way down to Kissimmee and St. Cloud. It's the Metroplan area. So it's all of the cities and the whole region combined. And in that list for Volusia, Flagler, it's all of them combined. So it's not just parsing out communities specifically, it is looking at the entire region, and that entire region is now in the top 5 of that list.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm looking at page 28 with the estimated cost. It looks like a small city, which would be the smallest city, that the estimated cost would be $5,500.
Yes.
I think per year.
Yes.
Maybe I missed it. Who does the monitoring?
We do.
By putting people out there to monitor,
Yep.
or signage,
Yes.
or?
We cross the road, so we pay plainclothes individuals, so we hire people in the community to go cross the road.
Okay, I heard that.
Yep. And then we take that data and we work with your staff or Volusia County traffic engineering to say, okay, here's where we need to put these improvements. And then we'll work with Volusia County Sheriff's Office or your local, I believe it's the Sheriff's Office, right? That would enforce the driver yield law. So it's bringing the whole package and the whole program here. Then there's a steering committee component to that package that allows your staff to participate in a region-wide meeting that talks about safety. So you can hear from the town of Oakland and Castleberry and other communities as to what they're doing to improve pedestrian safety in their community. So it just allows you to have access to these resources, and it gives you the data that you need to make those really informed choices, to be very specific about where you put your resources to improve pedestrian safety.
So then I guess my next question to a follow-up is, once you come in, you look at the package, see what we need, the $5,500 cost might go higher.
You determine that. We bring the services that you determine are best for your community. That's not for us to decide.
That's what I'm saying.
And the 5,500 is one crosswalk.
One crosswalk.
So that's where the price would go up as you added crosswalks.
Yes. Not included in that, we couldn't put all of the information for the program costs on a slide, but we do have other options. So you can add a crosswalk. I believe it's $1,800 a year to add an additional crosswalk. So if you have 2 issues that you want to try to address, we can do that without having to get you to the next level. We will work with you to do what we need to do to make sure, because it's a part of our mission and our vision as well, to make sure that everyone has a safe place to walk, bike, and roll.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great question.
From what I've been noticing around town is our only visible crosswalks that we currently have are in the school zones. And those are maintained by the county and the school board because of the kids that cross there. And they're the only ones that have signs. If we went with your program, you said something about being able to recommend locations for crosswalks. Would that be included in
Yes.
service.
Yes, absolutely. So what's not listed there is the advocacy and the expertise that we bring. So if you say this is one, if you say one crosswalk that you want to monitor, but you have others that you're concerned about, then we work in liaison with the community, with Volusia County, right, to ensure that they either need to mark it or we meet those standards. That wouldn't be what we monitor, so that's no additional cost to you. Maybe once it's striped, maybe we might need to monitor it, just to see what the data looks like, but obviously we would make sure that the striping and signage is appropriate to go in, just based on the expertise of our program in monitoring over 300 crosswalks across the, several, I think we're in 9 counties now, so we have a lot of expertise as to what it looks like to be a good crosswalk to get drivers to yield to it.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. You will be in touch with our city administrator, I'm sure.
Of course, thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to thank Vice Mayor Eckhart that actually initiated and brought that forward on there in terms of that process. So thanks, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. West Volusia Hospital Authority for presentation.
They are, and I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge Commissioner Donato. I think was instrumental in working with them and inviting them. And so I don't know if Lynn, you want to maybe do the introduction or open up a little bit on.
Well, actually, we have Commissioner, and I think they're pretty well versed on how to go ahead and introduce their program. I have read over it. I think it's great. I don't know how many people in this city that might need these services, but I kind of have a feeling there's enough that need to know about this program. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Before you start, the Boys and Girls Club, we got you on early. You got kids that's supposed to go. If you want to leave, you're fine to leave.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for having us come.
Mayor, if you want to just 10 seconds if they want to go out and not make a distraction.
Go ahead and go. Go keep going.
Just so they don't interrupt you. I wanted you to have a clear.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Stacy Tebow. I'm the administrator for the West Volusia Hospital Authority. And
greetings, I am Ricky Ford, and I am a commissioner on the West Volusia Hospital Authority, and I serve as vice chair.
thank you for letting us come to tell you about this program that's available to all residents of West Volusia County. So first of all, we are an independent special district that was created in the 50s by the state legislature, and our whole purpose is to provide access to health care for indigent residents that live in the district, which Lake County is, of course, a part of. We have included a map in case you don't know exactly where this district would be in your packet. Basically, the whole west side of the county is covered by us. We have the Halifax district on the east northern side, and then southeast in the New Smyrna area.
All right. Just if you didn't know, since we are a special tax district, and so we are funded by property taxes, and so our budget for this year is 19 million, where about 18 million is coming from the property taxes, and the remainder comes from investments and the remainder of our budget from last year. Reserves, correct. I'm new, so please forgive me.
Pull your mic down, please.
Gotcha. I'm scared.
Push it.
Hello?
There we go.
Awesome, yes. So that is our budget, and as she said, how do you get on the health card program? It's fairly simple. You have to show proof of residency in West Volusia, or those who live within West Volusia for the last 3 months, or 1 month if you are homeless. And how to do that is go to one of our centers that will verify that information for us, and then we'll see if you're qualified. So this is all about qualifications. So just ensure that people who, like I said, are indigent, people who are in between jobs, people who are homeless, things of that nature have access to health care. We want to ensure that everyone knows about it. That's why we are here. Now I'll pass over to my lovely administrator.
So when the majority of the people that apply for the program, and we probably have about 1,600 right now, but that varies day to day because people will qualify and it's good for 6 months and then they'll have to reapply again. Mainly at the house next door. So there's a location in Deltona at Judson Square on Deltona Boulevard where people can go. They can also go to the house next door in DeLand and Rising Against All Odds, which is in DeLand. They do a lot to help with the homeless people that need to apply for the card. People can't have insurance, they need to apply for Medicaid, be denied, apply for the ACA, healthcare.gov. Many people, if they don't have a job, they're not going to qualify for that. So those things have to be done first, and we're the payer of last resort. The name West Volusia Hospital Authority is kind of like, what is that? We don't own a hospital anymore, but years ago, we did. A hospital that is now Advent on West Plymouth Avenue in DeLand was owned originally by the West Volusia Hospital Authority. We don't own any hospitals, but we contract with Advent DeLand, Halifax and Deltona, Fish, which is in Orange City, and there's also an ER in Deltona on Howland Boulevard. So people that have a health card can go there for services. We have 2 primary clinics, one in DeLand, one in Deltona, where people with the health card can go and get their primary care for free. There's also prescriptions included. There's smaller co-pays if they want to go to specialists. But basically, it's just opening up healthcare for people that have no way to afford it and they have no insurance.
You said that you mentioned about homeless people. Do you have to be homeless to be eligible, or
No. No, it's just a lower qualification of be a resident for a month if you're homeless, and it's 3 months if you are not homeless. And there is the Neighborhood Center in DeLand, which will do a homeless certification. We also contract with them to do their access to care, where people go in there daily for food, shelter, hygiene products, and they steer them towards this program for healthcare and other programs that are available to try to help the citizens that are homeless.
you said they have to reapply after 6 months?
That's correct. Every 6 months, the house next door or Rising Against All Odds, we're doing recertification. So you'll bring your documents. You can't be over 150% of the federal poverty level, and that is updated every January by the federal government, and that is available on our website, which is West Volusia Hospital Authority. The whole thing spelled out, it's really long, .org, O-R-G. And so people can actually start their application there on the website. It's in English and Spanish. When you submit, it goes to the house next door, and then they'll call the resident to make an appointment so that you can provide your backup documentation, proving your income and assets, that you're income eligible for the program.
In terms of coverage, does it include like being hospitalized?
Yes.
Surgeries or medical procedures?
Yes.
Medication?
Yes.
And that card is available right now?
That is correct. So on medication, I wanted to mention that they, at the My Care Clinic, there's a community coordinator, and she works with all of the card holders to steer them towards a patient assistance program. So many of your drug manufacturers will have this program. If you qualify, you can get a brand name medication for free. So then they are able to get those people signed up for that, and you don't pay for it, the taxpayers don't pay for it, the manufacturers do, and they get those prescriptions. There's also prescriptions that come from something called MyRx that are shipped to the clinics. So the patients will come to either Deltona Clinic or DeLand and pick those up. And those are at no cost to the patient or the card holder as well.
I want to drill down just a little bit so I'm even clearer on it. I've had a couple of conversations already about this program. What is the top of the scale at the poverty level this year, even though it may change next year? 22,000?
It is,
15?
yeah, it's based on your household size, so it's a different number if you live by yourself versus if you have, 5 kids with you.
Okay.
So we have a table in those eligibility guidelines that I was mentioning earlier that goes up to 8, and then there's a link on that page, maybe you have more people than 8. So it goes to the federal government's website that shows you, okay, how many people do I have and what is my maximum income that I can qualify for this program. And they have all kinds of percentages. We go by 150%.
Is this based on household or individuals?
An individual, do you mean, say, if a mom applies, your kids get it too?
Right, in other words, is the household income is what you're asking them to provide.
Correct.
To be eligible. So,
Yes, so a husband and a wife, you would count both of their incomes for your household income.
children, spouses, children and parents.
Everybody that lives in the house. We try, one of the last pages that I didn't mention that's in your presentation speaks to other services that are available to card members. So these are the contracts that we have with, for example, SMA Healthcare to provide addiction assistance and therapy, crisis intervention, the facility they have out towards Daytona, what was called the Baker Act, it's the emergency behavioral services.
Are you familiar with that place?
Okay, so.
Not for me, but because she works there.
Yeah. That's funny. So the card members don't only get your normal health care, but there's these other services that are available too for your mental health. The House Central Store also has therapy. You want to mention some of the other programs that are covered?
Dental care, dental care is super important, as well as talking about the house next door. I also know that they do sometimes provide rides, because I know that's a very big hurdle for some of our health card holders, so they do provide rides for them to go get their medicine or go to their appointments. And I think I went by recently, and so they try their best to ensure that if you come, they'll see you. Because I saw a young lady who practically missed her appointment, however they're able to still see her. Their main goal is to make sure you have access to the training you need. Granted, our residents don't show up, but we're just saying that they are that kind, they are in the community to ensure that you have the access you need regardless of your circumstances.
So from start to finish, if someone begins an application online, which some people may not have a computer, may have to go in, what's the time frame that they might be approved or disapproved in?
It would probably be, I want to say, a week, assuming that they have all the documents that they need. Sometimes somebody might just come in and not just start to apply, and then they might be told, will you just bring me back, these items, according to whatever that person's assets might be.
Now, you said one thing that concerns me just a little bit, because we know how government's changing, how we're like talking about doing away with property taxes, and that's your funding. Are you looking for solely? Are you looking forward to maybe have someone else provide the funding for you, and property taxes goes away, and then this program just goes away?
Well, that's a new crazy thing that's in the news these days, and I really don't see how that possibly can work.
There's almost going to have to be some other dedicated funding.
Yeah.
If it's It's not a sales tax. They're gonna have to find something, because if they cut property taxes, whether it's for you,
Yeah, it
us,
affects you too,
or the
everyone.
county and what have you, I mean, that's a significant amount of money we're all gonna have to make up, and either that, or there's a serious cut in insurance.
Exactly. So no, I don't know what will happen. I'm certainly paying attention. I think there's going to be significant pushback from, the Florida League of Cities and the Florida Association of Counties, etc., because we all depend on that in this particular program. That's all it is. It's not a big government. I'm the only employee. All of our work is done through contracts to try to save money. So, it's something to think about, but I'm hoping that doesn't come to fruition. In the meantime, we wanted to bring you this information. I know we do have some people on the program that are in Lake Helen. Probably get you that information later, exactly. Every month we get a report based on zip code for how many members are coming from all the way down south to DeBerry, up to Seville, and all areas in between from our third-party administrator. But Lake Helen does have some, but I'm finding that many people just don't know about this program, and we wanted to bring brochures that hopefully you can just set out for your residents to let them know it's there if they need it.
How does the person that's, how does the person that's homeless get information? They come in, I don't have a house, I don't have an address. How do you make them available?
So what we do with those cases, we work with places who verify homelessness, and so we inform them, hey, we see that you work with the homeless population. Can you please tell them about the health card program? That way, we are able to reach them, so they do not have the traditional means of communication, or they do go there for homeless needs. So that's how we communicate with that population in the community.
It's mainly the neighborhood center because they've been around so long in DeLand, but it's hard if you're a person down at the south end of the county to say, go to the neighborhood center when they don't have a car. We've been trying in the last couple of years to get something else, possibly the house next door on Deltona Boulevard, maybe certified through the Homeless Management Information System to be able to handle that, but at this point it's only the neighborhood center in DeLand, and also Rising Against All Odds, which is in DeLand. And they have an HIV/AIDS outreach program, but they also go actively. They have a little mobile unit, like an RV, where they'll go out to try to these homeless camps. We all know where the homeless people are in our neighborhoods, so I try to direct them, hey, you need to come over here, and everybody's room near where I live. But that's it, because that's kind of limiting for a homeless person to have to travel to DeLand. I know that, and we're going to try to actively work on ways to reach the homeless that, they don't know about it because they're just, out there trying to live in the woods. So, that's where we are now.
One last question, and then I'll shut up. Is there any age requirement to be involved in this program?
No. I mean, the younger ones, we do try to direct them to Florida Healthy Kids for kid care, so where they can get no-cost coverage for children. And no, there's not an age limit on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
And do you have flyers that you could provide? You have them
Okay,
already?
that's a bunch of brochures.
All right. That's
And my card, if anybody has any follow-up questions. Thank you.
All right, take care. Okay, we're now down to the agenda item D, with the CAC committee.
See, no.
Which one?
Spring summer events.
Here.
Oh. Based on the, okay, I made a notation. Based on the Update of the spring, summer events given by Karen. There she is.
I'm starting this weekend. Pretty busy this weekend.
No doubt.
The 15th and the 16th, Saturday and Sunday, Strawberry Festival. Okay, and 10 to 3, right in this building, we have the League of Better Living Art and Craft Fair. And we also have the American Legion Leprechaun 5K. For information about that, I'm sure Roger will bring it up for you. Saturday, April 19th, we have the Easter egg hunt. We'll have the Easter running. They'll come on the Butler Express, bounce houses, and food vendors. We have games planned, but without volunteers, we can't do them. That would be for egg toss, tug of war, three-legged race, etc. We sat there and thought of plenty we can do, but we need volunteers for each one of them. April 25th, 26th, and 27th, spring citywide yard sale. We'll be right back to the same thing that Nancy does. We'd like to waive the fee for that. We'd also like to waive the fee and have the market on Sunday like we did earlier, no, well, I guess it was late last year, and waive the fee on Sunday only for that one. And that will also coincide with our annual card show, which is on Saturday, April 26th. I think that's coming up in this meeting, to be okay. July 4th, parade, phono, water slides, band, food trucks, crafts, games. Once again, we need volunteers. That's short throat, right? And of course, ending with the fireworks. New events that we're working on, Roger and I kind of BS together and try to come up with stuff. Pick a Pig barbecue, concert in the park. Everybody's been asking for a concert in the park. I don't know how we would handle that and charge at the same time, because you can hear it from the whole park. The one main thing I'd like to ask also is raise the price of the food trucks at events to $25. They're paying $10 right now. I do know that most of them sell out every event we have. They're raising their prices. I really think $25 is more than fair. I think the craft vendors could stay at 10, but I think the food trucks should go to 25, except for the market, because the market is stuck in that spot there. And sometimes we have 50 people walk through. Sometimes we have 200. So there's no way of knowing if they're even going to make $25. And we basically usually only have 2. And that's it for up to July 4th. We're still working on other things at the moment. And if anybody has any great ideas, the main thing is to get the fee waived for the citywide yard sale for the spring, and to get the $25 okay for the food trucks.
Quick question on the egg toss.
I'm sorry?
Quick question on the egg toss. With the price of eggs going up and the affordable cost.
Well, we were discussing that. We thought we were going to have to use plastic eggs, and we thought maybe we put pebbles in them. I think that was, or something to make them heavier.
Jelly beans.
Jelly beans in them, or, you know, something to make them heavier, so that when they drop, they break.
If you get with Mark Schultz, he might be able to help with the concert thing. I think he's put on a few of them in his lifetime.
I don't, we have quite a few people and quite a few bands we think we could probably get, but we need to be able to charge to pay these people. And our problem is, I guess maybe the equestrian center would be the best place, but you can also stand on the road and hear the concert. So a lot of people say, I don't need to pay.
Yeah, a lot of those are, the concerts are paid for by donations from larger corporations. So that the
Yeah, we
attendance is
discussed
free, and
that.
then, of course, they make their money on the sale of either records or tapes or food, vendors and stuff
I
like
think
that.
we're calling Morgan and Morgan, or Dan Newland, you know.
Well, Dan Newell puts on some big ones.
I know, he puts on some great ones.
I have a question. Karen, what do you think is causing the decline on having volunteers?
It's always been a problem, it's not something new. I mean, it's just always been a problem in here, and everybody wants stuff done, but nobody wants to help.
I was just wondering, because I hadn't heard that brought up before, so I was just.
Oh, no, it's always been a problem. You can ask Kelly right there, we're constantly, over the years, been looking for volunteers.
That was one of the things that we discussed at the League of Cities leadership training classes. We determined that the biggest problem is the change of atmosphere in the generations that have been coming into leadership and stuff, and that most of them have no community commitment anymore because they don't stay long enough to be committed to the community. I think on nationwide, the average of somebody living in a community is somewhere between 3 and 5 years, and then they're moving somewhere else. So they have no commitment to the community, so they don't worry about volunteer for the community. And that's where a lot of the cities are running into problems at. Lake Elm has probably the only place that I've been to that has the longest heritage of people living here for generations that I have seen in most of the places I have lived at. And that's one, because I know when I was growing up, we moved every 2 to 3 years. So when I moved to Lake Elm, it's like, you know, I've been here since '77, so it's, you get committed, you kind of like the place too much.
I think it also, we could be victim of our own success as a community. What people think of Lake Helen is just everything's kind of calm and very nice, and you just come here and enjoy it. But there is a responsibility to enjoy that we may not be communicating that as well. And can't say that you're not working hard enough, because we do know that because of marketing parks and the things that you just now outlined, people kind of come here and expect them to happen. They expect the 4th of July. They expect the parade. They expect the 4th of July fireworks. But I don't think there's an easy answer to this.
Kids nowadays would rather sit in front of their computer and that's all they do.
Is there anything else?
Can I add something? I think you might really benefit from looking for some of these workshops with community and for events, because they have them online, they have them in person, and it's just a lot of information on how to do things now compared to 30 years ago.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we vote on, yeah, let's go.
I had a card on that. I would like to speak.
Yes, we haven't got to finish that. Is there more?
She wants us to vote on the things that she brought up.
Okay, before we do vote, then we'd like to take.
But we need to make a motion first, don't we?
Make your motion and
I make a motion that we approve the waiving of the fees for the citywide yard sale and the raising of the cost of the food trucks.
Second.
the motion moved in second, and we'll call the Ron, I have you here. Is that for the park?
Yeah, we'll just get that for now.
Okay. Nancy for events.
Nancy Weary, 435 West Delaware. Karen just mentioned me in all of this, and I'd like to clarify that the Lake Helen Little City Big Sale, citywide yard sale, is not affiliated with this, and I'm assuming that you all as a city are taking over an event that I have spent the last 7.5 years building for this city, that has brought in thousands of people, and I have funded it completely by myself. And now all of a sudden, you guys just want to take it over?
Can I answer?
Somebody should answer something.
I know, Nancy, you've done a great job, I won't deny that. But you were asked, I know, quite a few times to have a spring one. And nothing.
Y'all are gonna run it in the ground, I'm telling you. What happened in
Before we get
November?
into a one-to-one, let us just, you
Do
put
you not
in
think that
your,
somebody should have cordially, I'm a resident here that has put in a lot of time and energy and effort into my community that I live in, that I pay taxes and vote in. And it's very interesting in the last 9-10 months how everything that I've done over the last 7 years has just systematically been wiped out. And I really find it appalling by all of you. And I really don't even know what else to say.
thank you.
Didn't we agree at the last one that they had after the hurricane that there would be a spring one at that time? Yes.
I asked Fiona if they could move it to the spring to separate the two.
Yes.
And we're not taking away the fall citywide yard sale and bake sale event that Nancy has been doing. We're
Never
creating
done a
a
bake sale.
we're creating a new one for the spring to regenerate and help people do spring cleaning around their houses.
Well, I'm going to tell you that the people that
Please,
participated.
please, don't speak out, please.
May I speak again?
Thank you. Go ahead, Roger.
That's all I wanted to reiterate, that it's a separate one from the one that Nancy created. We're not getting rid of the one that Nancy created, we're creating another one that's in a half a year away from the previous one.
Can I ask a question? I mean, we've got all of these events coming up that are just being thrown out here tonight. Some I've never heard of before. And shouldn't the commission have a workshop and look at what we're doing and what the expectations are, how it's going to be managed? And then my second part is, instead of voting for the price of rentals on trucks, I'd like to see that separated from what was the other one?
We can separate it, I don't have a problem with that. But having a workshop when we hired an events coordinator to take care of this makes no sense to me. That's what we pay her for.
Well, that's what we pay her for, but we're still the commissioners, so.
And the only new event that they added to this one is the spring yard sale. We have always done Easter egg hunt, we have always done the car show, we have always done the 4th of July. Those are nothing new.
No, I know that.
It's the spring yard sale is the only new one.
I have to agree with Roger. There is nothing that was mentioned. Strawberry Festival we had for the Arts and Crafts annual. The Leprechaun comes on the tail of the initial stretch bus. Yeah, so it's the second one. So this is being built in. The yard sale, the market in the park was requested to. So the auto show, the 4th of July parade, the concert, and concept of a concert in the park. Something was this is a concept. Raising the cost of the food trucks. The fact that it's obvious that the food truck vendors are, that when they do come out, we should make it very clear that the vendors that are coming out, they're selling out, so why not raise them an additional $5, except for the ones that come on a regular basis. There's nothing really new here.
Well, the race this weekend, isn't that being?
Second year.
It's not
It's the second year.
It's not a city event, I wish to.
It's not even a city event, it's just something happening within the city.
Well, that's where I was headed. That's for the region, not for the city
I'm not correct.
No, it was just, she mentioned that because
Because
of all
it's
the
this
activities
weekend.
going on this weekend. She didn't include the Legion Bingo that's also going on this Saturday.
What's going on? That goes on every Saturday.
And the fair workers.
On the agenda, she said, this is the events coordinator who is bringing to the city commission in one bundle from one person what it is that the city, things that have already been done and things that, so at least we have somebody that we can, before it was willy-nilly. So this is actually, these are things that have been going on, and they've been working in ways that probably just by the skin of their teeth. So now we have someone that can kind of coordinate us. And that work coordinator, I think, gives us a little bit of, when we have her at the table when they are planning these things, it's a lot easier to have her at the table so that she can kind of point us in a direction where maybe we should consider this and consider that. So that's the advantage that we have here on this item alone. Anyone?
So she actually asked for 3 things, because you also asked to waive the fee for the yard sale on the Sunday. So you want me to just break that out, we'll do them one by one? So I can take
Yeah,
back my
we did
motion?
do that, the one that Fiona.
Yeah, I know, so we're just gonna do each of the 3 items.
So you're behind it.
So the yard sale,
Oh, I'm behind it all?
please, don't engage.
Well,
Don't engage.
I'm not.
I know, I'm just saying.
Because we don't need hours for the audience.
Please, no.
That's what I'm saying, they're not supposed to be addressing me.
Thank you.
So I make a motion that we waive the fee for the spring yard sale first.
Okay.
Okay, second.
Yeah, that motion's already been made and seconded.
I know, well, because we're gonna do all 3 separate, Lynn
Right.
wants them separated.
Okay.
So I had to reword it as
Restated.
one item instead of 2.
Okay, so we're going to,
So we can vote
what was that motion?
to waive the fee for
Waive
the
the fee.
spring yard sale.
Okay. Motion in second. Comments from the audience?
We did that already too.
Okay, all right, moving right along. Zone 1,
Yes.
Zone 2?
Yes.
Zone 3?
No.
Zone 4?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay,
Now I make a motion that we raise the food truck prices to $25.
Second.
motion moved in second.
For all or for just
I think she's trying to.
city events?
City events. I think the way it is explained is leave the vendors that come to the market on the regular. When we have outside vendors, their fee would be $25.
Correct.
As opposed to getting the same rate that the vendors normally get. Okay.
So it'd be just for the events?
Just for the
not
event.
For the
Not for the market. Okay. Is there a second?
Didn't Heather
Yeah,
second?
Heather second.
Oh, second, okay. Any comments? Okay, no comments. Zone 1,
Yes.
Zone 2,
Yes.
Zone 3,
Yes.
Zone 4,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
So now the next one is I make a motion that we waive the fee for the market on the Sunday after the spring
Yeah,
yard sale.
if the market can't open and waive the fee for that day.
Okay.
Is
That would
that,
be the 28th?
27th.
20,
is that
yes.
if the
Friday,
market,
Saturday, Sunday, 25th.
Yes.
said if the market can't open, that we will use a Sunday?
Yeah, we did it last time we opened up, because the yard sale Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
And we had let the vendors come in on Sunday. We only had maybe 10, but
I understand. Everybody understand the motion?
So you're wanting to waive the fees that weekend?
the $5 yard sale fee. I stay on premise, so that it's kind of like just an extra market day.
I think the motion needs to say to allow the market on Sunday and waive the fee for it.
For that day.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, I'll change it to allow the market on Sunday and waive the fee for it.
Second?
Second.
Okay, comments? Hearing none. Zone 1?
Yes.
Zone 2?
Yes.
Zone 3?
No.
Zone 4?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion passed. Thank you. Is there anything else?
Now, we'll work on these other amendments and bring them for the committee.
Thank you so much for what you did. Okay. Now we're at the CAC.
No, you cook it.
Yeah, that's.
Cookie was going to include that in these. Yeah.
Certificates of appropriateness.
Do you want the three of you guys to come up? And
My name's Alan Cook, 792 Oak Tree Lane. And this gentleman is Angelo. He's on the historical board and so forth in town. And this gentleman here, he used to be my mayor. What we're here for tonight is, everybody knows that we've had trouble with the town hall, with the building and so forth. So I just want to say thank you to both of these gentlemen for stepping up. And we're working on right now, trying to get things corrected and get going. We had a monitoring company, professional air monitoring company, Paul, come and do the monitoring for all the mold and everything. And he has been tremendous. Let me tell you something, he's come, what, 3 times now total? 4 times now. And he was here last week with us, and we went over and everything. And he did a test every single room. He has a little thing, and he does the tests and everything. We're waiting on the final results of this last one. So we can take and monitor 1, 2, 3, where we stand. Are we going up or down? Are we staying the same or what? So we know, now we got monitoring for three times, so we know what we're doing. And like I say, as soon as we can get that done. Now, what we've done is, we've gone in, started with the building, and tried to figure out what this mold is, where it came from, and so forth. Now, we've done it with Paul, working with us, telling us where the bad rooms are. Now, you ready for this? This was a shock of Rudy. I thought the yellow room was a bad room. Well, it turns out to be the yellow room ain't so bad. But anyhow, so what we're trying to do now is get all this figured out, what we're doing and everything else. Big thing is we found right now that it looks like a lot of it, believe it or not, is air conditioning. I met with the air conditioning specialist the other day, spent a couple hours and stuff, and he's going to work with me on getting up in there to find out what's going on. We can see where the mold is and so forth. But it looks like most of it, a lot of it is the air conditioning. Because a lot of it, we always thought windows, right? Wasn't that the word, windows? But anyhow, it's windows, but it's also the air conditioner is probably our worst problem. Perfect example is 3 of the air conditioners are down the basement. Well, with the storm and everything, I went down and measured. They were under 2.5 foot of water. So that don't help with the air conditioner. So we're going to have to probably move them up out of there and get them into somewhere. But we're working on that now. So I'm just saying, I met with the expert and all. We're working on the air conditioning, see if we can get that straightened out, where we're going and how we're going to correct it. So that's what I'm working on with that. Now Mark is going to tell you about the windows.
Well, the windows, of course, as everybody knows, are original.
Turn your mic around and give your
sorry. The windows are original to the building. I came over here with my guys. We've spent 10 or 12 hours for 4 of us, my crew, and we put up ladders and we just looked at every single window. There's about 68, 69 window units there around the entire building. They're in pretty good shape. I've restored buildings with a lot worse condition than these windows are. There are, so far, we've identified about 12 or 13, maybe 14 sills that need replacing, where there's certainly rot, there's water intrusion. pretty much all the windows at some point need reglazing. So it's a case of identifying the ones that are seriously a problem right now, doing something about that, and maybe kind of scale it over the next year or two to repair the other ones. It's not an emergency. The windows are not the problem, from what I can tell from years of experience messing with windows. I decided I would donate my crew's time. We would take out one complete unit of windows, which happened to be the ones that the ladies have in the museum room. Was the worst window in the entire building. The upper sash had fallen apart. It was rotted. There were window panes literally missing from the thing, and the sill was rotted. So I had my guys come in with some plywood and boarded up the window basically. We took out the two sash. We've now repaired all the sash, put a new rail on the bottom of the upper sash, primed it, painted, glazed it, etc. We'll bring everything back within the next week or two, and we'll trim out a lot of the frames around the windows. They were, when it was painted 20 some odd years ago, they were painted over the existing paint. It was never really taken down to the raw and primed properly. So that's kind of what you have to do it right. The point is, if you do a window properly, it should last for 25 to 30 years, which quite frankly will beat new windows in terms of longevity. And we could argue that all night long, but I don't want to do that. The point is, the windows are not the issue, but they do need attention in a kind of a phased idea. Some of them should really be treated before the rainy season kicks in, but that maybe is 4, 5, or 6 window units, and maybe we could patch some of them and just let them go through the rainy season and fix them as the budget allows, which we'll see where that goes. The cost, we're trying to take this one unit to kind of figure out what it would take to do it properly to restore that window unit. Add up the hours and the cost for materials and see what that is. So the idea is maybe in several weeks we can make a presentation to you of what that involves. So my point tonight is the windows are not really the issue. Yes, they leak. Yes, the glazing's bad. Yes, they need repair. But it's not an emergency on that. I think the air conditioning, as Cookie pointed out, I would say this is a historic building, and some of us, Buddy included, me, a bunch of us spent a lot of time and money in our own materials back 20, 25, 30 years ago in that building. And so I would hate to see it not reused and become good for another 50 years as the city hall. And I'm willing to try to work with the city to help that make happen. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Angela?
This is Angelo. I'm going to speak to you about it. Angelo has looked into this thing, and we talked about it, and he says, "Cookie, those prices are way up. Maybe I can work with it so we can do it piecemeal as we go along. If we got to repair the door or something like that." He is in his own business. He's a builder and stuff. And so he's willing to take time to work with us and figure out where the real bad spots are first. And maybe get in there.
I want Angelo to speak, because you might work him into something.
Go ahead, Angelo.
Well, most of the things that have been talking about is true. The way we're going to do it this way, it's going to take a lot longer. But we just need to get you guys in a safe zone. Cookie's getting this with the guys doing the air control and stuff, making sure what's happening. We just need to find out exactly. I was told about the gym. We're trying to do that. If we need to move you there, we can do a very simple move. You have to tell me what you need, and I can get it done for you. Simple office areas, or maybe a little more open office areas, so we don't have to do a lot of walls. but the walls will be temporary walls, just to get you out of there, because I know a lot of you are really nervous. A lot of the smell you've got there is old building, you just have to remember that too. It's not just all, mold, it's mostly old buildings. If you want to smell an old building, go to the church. And, after this church over there, it's pretty bad when you walk in. But I'm willing to work with you guys, all right? I will do everything I can. I am busy. I have a lot of things going on. I've been working on condos for the last 24 years. I'm not doing that anymore because I'm really tired of the turtle people and ocean people telling me we can't do this and we can't do that. So now I'm doing houses because I want to retire. So retiring, I get to work with these guys some more, I guess. But I do want to help these. I want to do whatever I can. I know you have to follow the regulations and the bidding and stuff. If there's a way to work that, if I can get 3, 4 bids to satisfy that, I'll be more than happy to do that for you. All right? My time is my time, and I'm going to do whatever I can to do it for you. All right? But if I have my secretary do something or something like that, I'm probably going to have to pay her. I do have to pay the help like that. But other than that, my time will be yours. I just want to help you and get this, the building back to shape. Whatever I can do. I've already had my painter come over. He's given me a quote on doing the whole painting of the building, get it waterproof, watertight. I don't think it's that bad, but I won't say anything until I get other bids. I do want to get some other guys to give me some more prices just to get comfortable. So I can at least tell you, hey, this guy did this guy did that. AC, Cookie has a guy for an AC, I have a guy for an AC. We're going to get those, we're going to get 2 different opinions on this thing. When I heard that the units were in the water down the basement, that's a lot of your problem right there, because that's sucking all that moisture right out. I told my AC guy that, and he was like, oh, we got to do something with that. There was talk about the museum. I know the shuffleboard area, that would make a nice museum area, because it'd be another attraction for that Saturday event that you have there. But people can go there and visit the ladies, and, I don't know about you ladies, if that's something that's, because you guys are the ones being there, I love you for that. But, that might be a nice area, so you can get more people to come and visit the museum and see the museum. You don't want people coming. How many people come to the City Hall just to see this museum? Not many, right? So moving it over there is still a great idea. And the only reason why I'm saying that is not that room is an empty room. It can be more maybe for AC systems. Maybe. This is just things I'm throwing out. These are the ideas that I'm trying to get those units out of the basement. We don't need them in the basement. Get some ventilation in that basement. Get a pumping system. Make sure that pumping system, when you hit water, you got to get rid of that water. You have to get rid of that water because you don't need that in there. It's just running into the building. It's just not good. But I'm here to help. That's all I can do, and I'm going to be working with these gentlemen. We're going to butt heads a little bit because I got some new ideas and he wants to go with the old ideas. But I'm going to work with him because I love to see. I've done 17 years. I've done the Little Compton Town Hall. I remodeled the whole thing back in the 70s. So I'm going to do it. That's a 1,600-year-old building, so it's not too bad. And I just looked at the picture on it, it's still standing. So.
You guys just let me correct something that I should have done sooner. We had a former mayor, Buddy Snowden, who was in that building a lot longer than us. And since he's in the building, is there anything that you would like to add, or just since you're here, I don't want to overlook you.
Well, I probably spent more time there than anybody because I went through grade 1 through 6. And well, on the commission for 16 years, for the last.
Would you come speak into the mic? Yeah.
So I have fond memories of that building. And there was a lot of emphasis, a lot of interest, a lot of really hard work that went into acquiring that use of City Hall. And it's a real asset to the city of Lake Helen. Unfortunately, Mayor Shuttleworth never got a chance to serve there. That was his baby. He was a prime mover in that, and Mark crossed a lot of paths to get to that point. So what do we need to do to refurbish and restore, to reclaim that city hall? Let's do it. It's well worth it. We all have a lot invested, I know Mark has a lot invested. Tony Floyd, when he did a lot of renovations, I supplied a lot of material when we did. And we just have a passion. This is Lake Helen's school, it's Lake Helen's City Hall. We need to preserve that. And you got people that are willing, and volunteers. Sometimes volunteers are a little slower, but you can count on those that volunteer.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I add to that?
Please.
Yeah, because I've had the opportunity to work with Cookie, Angelo, and Mayor Shuttleworth when they've been out through there. The only thing I've cautioned them is they can't spend a dime because it's your money. So that has to go through the normal process. We're talking council. You have the ability to waive bidding and whatever under certain circumstances. So when those plans come in, if you don't want to bid them out, the last stop to kind of just, when we get to that, to deal with, what we're doing, because you are spending tax dollars, and so we do have to at least have some checks and balances in terms of there. But there's kind of two separate issues, and I think they've all highlighted on. The building has structural problems separate from mold. Windows, as Mayor Shuttleworth has covered, so some of those things may be able to be done more in stages in terms of that. I did get the fourth mold test back today, but didn't have time to analyze it, and I've also got calls back out to the company that submitted it, because they just sent me a report, and I want to be educated through. And so what I'm going to recommend is once I get the guys that we do our little powwow and based on this test and whatever, is that it may be best that we actually do a workshop instead of waiting until April 10th. So that way we can address the 4 tests, and not just the 4 tests, where are we 2025? Because that's the test that, will determine the severity, or how we can work around that. And so I think we'll get that probably here next week in terms of that coming in. I'm hoping to get a phone call from the environmental guy tomorrow. We talked today, he was on the road, so we couldn't, so I didn't have that tonight. Also sent the results to one of the companies that also do the work, because they both use the same testing sites to see if you get the same opinion, from the results. They test, but they send them off to a company, and that company does it all in terms of there. And, I will say this, I'm not an expert, but when I looked at the 21 results, you had 2 tests in 23, so that's 3, and the test in 25. The 23 result test that I looked at when the company came over had a dramatic increase from 21. I will tell you, the 25, the numbers are down. Now, what I need to know is what those numbers mean. They told me that we're going in the right direction. The roof went on, solved some of the problem. The building's drying out, that solved some of the problem. The second floor is still ground zero and critical, and some things may be done there. But I think out of this last result, in working with them, it may not need CAC or shuffleboard. We may be able to still work around that. And I was told that even some of the work that they may do upstairs could be contained, and how they sterilize and what have you, so that it wouldn't necessarily affect going out. So there may be some actual positive, meaning we have a problem, but we may be able to work it through in stages where we focus on the cleanup of the second floor and the mold first, and then start dealing with the issues that have got. But I think give us another week or so to get together on these results. Compare Zoom on the windows, what Cookie is doing on the air conditioning, and Angelo and some of the overall construction. think that we probably maybe a week or two could have a pretty good work session that might finally give us some very clear directions and kind of take some of the perception, some of the, stuff that's out there on Facebook and whatever, which is not factual, and we actually can start dealing with facts and come up with a legitimate plan and be able to move forward.
Okay. What I'm gonna do to back him up is tell you that maybe it'll be 2 weeks, not a week. We'll get 2 weeks.
I'd like to say
But
something,
then-
gentlemen, okay?
But go ahead, go ahead.
I am so impressed. I'm the rookie on the team, you can ask the mayor, that's what I'm called all the time. However, I do have a lot of experience that most people don't know about. I feel that what you brought to us tonight has proven that that building is not so doom and gloom. You guys took it upon yourself when we were spending hundreds and thousands of dollars to have it looked at, and then just sit and do nothing. And in such a short period of time, you brought hope back that City Hall can stand. I know that Deanie does not want that thing to go, and if anybody pulls a bulldozer up here, they're gonna have to go through her first, and she's tiny, but she's mighty. I am thrilled, and I honestly have said all along, the building's not that bad, because we have other resorts. It was just never moving forward. So thank you so much. I
The big thing
so
is with
appreciate
the
it.
building, where you're at, our big problem with that building is it hasn't been maintained.
That's what I
That's
said in the
the biggest
workshop.
problem. When we started going through it and stuff, a lot of it, okay, the mold's a bad spot, but the building has not been, Buddy and me talked about it last week, that building hasn't been maintained in years.
Well, you can't leave broken window panes and expect the water not to come in.
Well, we took the paint out because she was complaining it was too hot in the room.
Oh, no, you took it out?
Oh, yeah, we took it out.
Oh,
But if you could give us a couple of weeks, what we'd like to do, like talk to Jim and stuff, and that is, we're gonna get our information together, know where we're going a little bit here. Then we wanna have a special meeting with you. So that way we can put it in front of you, boom, 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 here's what we can possibly do. And then you guys can vote on it. That's why I said, instead of having a workshop, I'd like to see a special meeting.
Can I?
Go ahead, go ahead.
I saw Ricky got up. Did you want to add something?
I just want to add something. I'm all for everything you want to do here. We need to look into the grants we had. I believe, and don't hold me to it, it's been a long time and I'm older now. I believe the museum cannot be, that room cannot be modified. That was the only room that had to say a classroom.
Oh, because it
Before you start putting air conditioners in there and stuff, just please look at the grants we had. They
Okay.
may be out of date, I don't know, but I want to caution you
Good
so we
idea.
don't have to pay another grant back or we get in trouble with something. That's all I know. We have 2 grants that I know of.
That's
One
what
for
we
the
want to get
elevator.
together and talk.
Yeah, so just,
Yeah.
we'll have to find it somewhere. I don't have it, but just make sure before we move forward, if we want to do that, we don't do something that's going to harm us in a grant line.
Of course.
Okay, that's all I want. It's just information.
Thank you.
I know.
That's great, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Cookie just opened up something for me that it kind of hit me right here. Several years ago, there was a Legionnaires convention, and people came from all over the country, and then they left, and they all wound up in different areas with a certain respiratory disease that, in some cases, it killed people. My mother was a microbiologist, and she was stricken with what was considered to be Legionnaire's disease. Just to read, we haven't spoken about, I mean, the focus has been on mold, but what Cookie just said tonight basically says that the air conditioner is a major source of the problem. I'd just like to read something. Legionnaire's disease is caused by breathing in tiny droplets of water that contain the Legionella bacteria. The bacteria grows in warm water. How does it spread? Legionella can spread through devices that create water mist, like cooling towers, hot tubs, and showers. It can also spread through air conditioning systems and humidifiers. Legionella can contaminate water systems in hospitals, hotels, and offices. Who are at risk? People who are 50 and older, current or former smokers, people with chronic health conditions like diabetes, cancer, and liver disease, people with weakened immune systems, people who have recently stayed in hospitals or had surgery. Symptoms: flu-like symptoms, including cough, high fever, chills, headache, chest pain, shortness of breath. I won't continue. The discovery of the Legionnaire's disease happened simultaneously around the country and only through their finding the source that was water that was being condensed in an air conditioner. The water that the air conditioner did not discharge properly, it was warmed when it wasn't on, and the bacteria formed in there. They gave it the name Legionella because it was the Legionnaires that had that. So
It was after a National Legionnaires Convention.
it was a national
Yeah,
convention.
that brought them out, put the attention.
Exactly. So I mean, we're getting the good news. May not be more, but at the same time, Cookie, you just opened up another way that we might have to look at this. And I don't know what the sources are. Like I said, my mother was a microbiologist and she came down with it. And there was a treatment that was used to save her life. Temperature raise. So.
I also think too, if I may,
Sure.
that we ought to be really concerned about any rat droppings and have whoever's doing the spraying or whatever to check on that. We all just heard what happened to Gene Hackman's wife. That all came from rat droppings. They dry up, they turn to dust, you breathe them in, and it's lethal. So those are things that I think that we really should start looking.
We've got a lot to work with here, and you know, it may sound, you know, like we are trying to scare people, but we're just trying to do what is most responsible. And all the information that we can have can lead us to that conclusion, scientifically, as well as just being able to have people know what they're doing. So you guys have got your mandate? Yes?
I just want to add one other thing there. You know, employees' records and what happens to them is private and personal. And I'm going to tell you here tonight, when the comments were made that nobody wants to sit in that building, we have had 3 employees that, if I count the times they've had to go to the doctors and what they've dealt with, that are all tied to respiratory. I personally never had an allergy in my life. From June of last year, I'm being treated for allergies based on testing they did on me in reference to things that are in that building. So for someone to make a comment that there is no impact on employees, that's false. I've had people with walking pneumonia, and while the doctors will say, I can't guarantee you it's tied to it, but what's the one factor here? You're in this building. And so we can talk about the building, but let's make sure we're talking about the people and that we're creating a safe environment, because there are people that are sick and there are people that have been impacted by living in that, and we all react differently. So somebody may look and say, oh, well, those 4 numbers aren't at a high level. That doesn't mean it affects us. It's like Tylenol. 99 of us can take it, no problem. One person takes it and has an issue. So all 4 have been sick, 3 chronically.
Thank you.
So with this situation, when we get done within this 2 weeks' time, you guys are gonna have to make a decision. Whether bomb down there or fix it. We're gonna fix the building up, but It's how fast we can do it to get our employees out of there. But with this report today, I think we're gonna be a lot better than we were.
We may be able to work it without
Yes.
doing that, but
Yes.
we're gonna have to take aggressive steps.
You'll have to snap along.
Roger?
Go ahead, Ron.
Excuse me.
He's been in the building.
No, it's the pollen's affecting my lemon production. Based on the information that you gave and everything, the AC is the worst, right? So I would like not to wait a couple of weeks to have a special meeting to find out if it's going to behoove us to go ahead and go out for bids to have the AC units overhauled and replaced, or what?
We have to wait for the expert to come in, give us advice where we're going. We don't want to help skelter and say, yeah, we're gonna go there, and then all of a sudden we find out, well, if we did something else, we could do it that way.
Well, either way, we're going to have
No.
to have something done with the
Roger,
AC.
you're absolutely, the other recommendation that came in though is the floor, not the ceiling.
The ceiling.
In the second floor,
Bad.
it's got to come
I
out,
know.
and have it be part of the air conditioning system.
Yep, I'm getting to it.
You could just look at the ducts, every one of them's got mold around it.
Yeah,
Every
yes,
single
that's
one.
all because of the condensation building up on the AC units and it dripping down onto the ceiling and then it creating mold and stuff.
Because it's in that little tiny space
The,
there.
all that's gonna have to be pulled and redone, I already figured that out.
Well, one of
That's
the
all the
problems-
bid that's gonna happen.
Okay.
The other one is, for Mark on the windows, you said we need to do something before the rainy season. At one time, I don't know if they still have it up or not, but Blake Memorial put up, plastic shielding over their stained glass windows to protect them. Is that something that we can do temporarily on City Hall to protect the windows, to seal around it until we have the windows replaced?
That's certainly an idea. I think it's more the bottom sill there's, some of those sills are rotted in the corners. And actually, I restored all the windows in my house about 2 years ago. It's an 1895 farmhouse, and I did exactly what I'm proposing that we're doing with this one set of windows, which is strip them raw bare, do the traditional thing, prime them, glaze them, do the old traditional way. And what I found that the guy that,
Paul?
No, the guy, I'm thinking the guy that has the commercial where he puts this stuff.
Oh, the seal coat guy.
Seal coat guy, he puts
You
it
know,
on his boat.
He puts a
and
boat
goes
there
around.
and goes down the.
But I bought some of that stuff because I had exactly what the problem is at City Hall and the sills. They just got rotted in the corner. I sealed that up, and I didn't have the time or the money to put all the labor into my house at that point. And I let them sit for about a year, and they didn't leak because that stuff really works. Now, when you pull it back up, you get this tar residue that's horrible to get out of there. But if we're replacing the sill, it doesn't matter, because we put in, frankly, I would suggest new cypress sills in there that wear better. So my point is, you could do a cheap patch for whatever, $100, $150 to patch the windows that really need to get by. It's not ideal, but it's not like we have a crisis with the windows. I just want, they need work. Every single one of them needs work.
I'm just thinking about if we get into the rainy season, something will stop any further deterioration until we get a chance to repair it.
Yeah, you're correct, yeah. Mostly the glazing is gone. We did, those are, they're hard pine windows, and they have a lot of resin in the natural wood. It's older trees they make them from, so they're pretty durable. I did not see much rot in the sills. In fact, frankly, I saw less there over the 10 hours we inspected the building on 2 different occasions. I found a lot less than what I expected, quite frankly. They need work, but it could be timed. And you're correct, we need to do some patching this spring to get by, and maybe do some of them this spring if we could. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing that really needs to take care of, we have until May, and that's when our hot time gets and our rainy time gets. That's when your AC needs to be really working efficiently, and that's where you're gonna have your AC guy and I'll say, get together and make sure these things are working right.
Great.
That's what's gonna suck out that moisture.
When we're inspecting the AC units, just so we're all on the same page, it's likely that they'll recommend they need to be removed from the basement. And the code is 3 inches above ground level for any condensing units. So those are gonna have to be moved regardless.
Well, your condensing units are outside on that pad.
So it's the
Those
air
are
handlers that's
handlers.
in the back,
That's
in the
down
basement?
the
Air handling.
Air
Air handlers are what actually pushes the air.
Okay.
Right, the condenser's outside on those pads outside.
Because when I went and measured, the water was up 2.5 feet in that basement with those things floating, not floating, but they were in. But we're working on it.
I mean, there's some really good options for mounting mold with the air handler.
Once we talk our thing, we'll know you guys on a work session, or a special meeting, so if you need to take some action, we can do that. We don't have to wait till it's okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Were there any comments on this? I guess not. Oh, okay.
Nothing messed up.
Meeting minutes, annual event, okay.
Mayor, there were comments on that because it wasn't on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a quick comment?
Please do.
It's on the agenda.
It was on the agenda, it wasn't.
Did you just add it to it?
Yeah, we added, it was the one thing we added on to the, it wasn't on the printed.
I just got a question, Ron Parrott, 451 West Michigan, and it's probably for Jim and for the commission. Several months ago, we talked about grants not having any money, or we don't have any money. We talked about our art money, and I thought we were gonna take like 400,000, 500,000 to be our earnest money, and we were gonna go after grants. Where do we stand on the grants? We had 3 bids on how to fix this building.
Well, those gentlemen are doing that.
Well, we had 3 bids though, right?
And
1 million, 900,000.
They were rejected. They were rejected.
Okay. But did we go after grants?
Yeah, we have. We have an actual application into the state of Florida for the current legislature. We had one to go in the federal, and we were told no earmarks. In fact, the budget spending bill by the Republicans that was passed for continuing resolution through September has 0 earmarks. So we were told do not submit for an earmark in this current financial times because they're not funding them. They're cutting everything else in the federal government, so right now we're focusing on the state.
Okay, thank you for the update.
Okay, we're down to the consent agenda. We have.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
That was a motion to approve the consent agenda as it states. Is there anything like to be pulled out? Bills paid, pulled out? Okay. Other than that,
I make a motion that we approve consent agenda items A, C, and D.
motion second. Any comments?
Yeah, there was one on the evaluation and that thing.
Yes. Nancy? Meeting minutes?
There was one for evaluation. Yes, it's on.
Yeah, this one here. Okay, you took out, which one did you took out? The,
Took out the
bills
bills
paid.
paid report.
So that would be on the, okay.
No, A would be the minutes, so it would be both on the minutes and
Nancy also.
the annual evaluation.
Okay. All right, Nancy, where?
Nancy Mary, 435 West Delaware. I'd like to comment on the minutes. I'd like to know who does the minutes and how they're done. I've noticed there's some incorrect on there this time. And recently, in the past few months, there's been several incorrect information. And that is, since we don't video, that is where a lot of people get their information from the minutes.
We're on the video now.
Well, sometimes it's up and sometimes it's not.
What's up for the other?
Do you want me to talk on that now too?
Yes.
Okay. So regarding the consent, or the reviews that were done for our city administrator, I know that I, like many people here, have looked at them. And I'm a little surprised that the only person who, of the 5 of you, who gave a review, that was somewhat honest and truthful was Ms. Rutledge. And there hasn't been, Mr. Gleason has attacked citizens, has been rude to citizens and a commissioner in front of all of you. And you don't even stand up for your own commissioners, and you sit there and allow it to happen. And quite honestly, as a resident, I'm appalled that nothing is done and there's no accountability. It's like, okay, you can do whatever. So that's my perspective on it, and I hope that you give it some thought.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed?
A, C, and D.
You're taking out your,
Oh, okay.
okay. All right. Is that a vote?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? And so passed unanimously. Now, to go back to the, which one was it?
Bills paid.
Bills paid.
I did notice that last month's bills came down to a little over $250,000, but we've been paying about $400,000, sometimes $500,000 in a month's time. I am just really concerned over Mr. Morales. There's about 5 different places in bills paid where Mr. Morales is being paid quite a bit of money. And I remember at the beginning of the year, not this year, probably mid last year, that the decision was made that he would not be doing any inspections on pools and fences. But it appears that that's still happening. And I'm wondering how much building is going on in this city that we're spending so much money to Mr. Morales.
I think I can answer that. They're not reviewing pools. They review the screen structure. Pools are not included, so if you see pool screen structure, they're not doing that. Mr. Morales' fees are passed on to the applicants, so they're not being paid for by the taxpayer. They're being paid by the people who are submitting their application that have to go through that review. Some of them require multiple inspections going out, and those people are being charged that. So yes, you will see the expense side, but the charge is going in on the applicant. It's like a planning issue. When Bobby Luther submits his plan, and we send it out to be reviewed by the engineer, or the attorney, and what have you, those bills get given back to the developer. So Morales' fees are being charged to the people's applications that are going through, so they're not being charged to the taxpayers.
Well, I know we had heard that's what was happening, but I never see any other side of the ledger that shows where those funds are coming back into the city. So, as an example, I mean, do we have any liquid assets at this time for the city? I mean, what is our net worth? I've never seen any reports on anything.
Well, you did, ma'am. That was in your review from the company that does our annual audit. Yeah, that's in there. That tells you your net worth. You got that this last fall.
Okay. Good enough. I just didn't see any liquid assets in it.
Well, they'll tell you exactly what we're worth. They'll tell you what our building assets are. They'll tell you what we have cash on hand.
Go back.
Yeah, that's given to you annually.
That's a good indicator, because month to month, we to try to extrapolate it out. I don't know. I don't have a math degree, but having our auditor come behind us, and they're using, what is that, business principles, what's that?
Generally accepted accounting principles.
Generally accepted accounting principles.
And generally accepted auditing standards.
And say that again.
Generally accepted auditing standards, I believe, is the other one.
So we have somebody that's overlooking what we've done. So that's kind of how I've always understood.
Yeah, I
Public hearing.
No, the bills.
We got a vote. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, your bills. You had, that was your motion to be kept out. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the bills paid report.
The second.
I'll second it.
Motion moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed? 3, 4. It passed. Thank you so much. Now we're down to the public hearing. Do you want to read that, Scott?
Sure. Resolution number 2025-03 by title only, first and only reading. Resolution of the City of Lake Helen, Volusia County, Florida, amending the policies and procedures manual to include employee emergency operations and providing for an effective date.
Comments?
Mayor and Commission, what this resolution is, and there's a document that Roxanne is handing out now. This is part of the FROC application, where we're adopting policies that will get us more points and bring us up to date. This is dealing with how we pay and deal with employees that are called out on emergency events and services, how they're paid, how we clock overtime and what have you. What was handed is the definition of terms, where the items highlighted or underlined are what are being changed to the employee manual, and what is being put in there are the key words and recommendations of what FROC is looking for. So while we will have several of these coming back to you as we work on that application, this is the first one that we brought back, that is involving amending the policy as it deals with emergency operations involving. So it's an update of the personnel policy that's part of getting us our FROC score.
So I'll understand it. We have the FROC was to provide what I called it a pre-approval for FEMA to be able to gauge what we would be entitled to. When they looked at our policies and procedures, there were things that needed to be implemented so that they would be in compliance. So we have now used this to become compliant.
In one area.
In one area. And when we actually submitted it, we did submit it with, it was being under review. So now having been under review, we've come to this stage for this part. Am I understanding it?
Yeah. And so this is the first one we're bringing back to update the personnel manual dealing specifically with employee under emergency management operations.
So and that came up as a result of if we have an emergency, how are our employees with regards to emergencies?
How they get paid, how they get fed, how just the whole process of handling that in terms of how we then can get reimbursed for those added costs.
So in the time of emergencies, there was an emergency situation without having this policy in effect. Employees that might have responded in an emergency without having a delineated structure to which they could then be compensated. We could not necessarily apply for this because we hadn't had a structure that was approved to be able to use for this.
This would allow all of those added costs to be submitted as far as reimbursement.
Okay. Thank you.
This may be a question on on the first page, last paragraph. It's important for city employees to remember that each weather situation is going to be unique and will require that decisions be based on individual situations. It's important for all staff to remain flexible, as city management must also remain flexible. Get all that. You may have to move from one location to another. In the event that some city facilities are closed down, staff may be reassigned to another location. Now, are we going to be billing when our staff, if at all, it so happens that they get moved to another location?
Yes.
We bill that, yes, sir.
I assume that's why it's in there. I didn't have anything to do with what you're looking at. So,
Well, that's.
I assume that's why we're doing this, is so, we're putting this together so we get this pre-approval for FEMA reimbursement, so we have to have this
And it's
policy.
probably just a generic thing that everybody puts in, is what I'm thinking.
So,
Because we're not moving nowhere.
The city, like Daytona, they may have multiple facilities to relocate to. We don't have that. So they're not going to really relocate too much around here.
What that is mainly for is if a storm occurs and City Hall gets damaged and they temporarily move, let's say the clerk's office to the police station office or something like that, they would report to the police station instead of City Hall. That's a change of location. They're not changing where they actually live at during the emergency. It's just changing where they're going to be working at during that emergency because they can't use their normal facility. It's like in the fire service, we would go 12 hours at the fire station, and the second 12 hours we were on the second floor of City Hall in a separate room where we could get meals, sleep, whatever we needed to do, because we were on 12-hour shifts.
Okay. I
And
just
here's
wanted
an
to
example.
clarify that being reassigned someplace else, and then where does that put us in?
The example that I've observed over the years, Jason Yarborough, who was our city administrator, when we had a hurricane and city power was out, he camped out at the police station. He actually stuck there on more than one occasion. So there was nothing in the policy procedures that would have accommodated it, but now we have.
Okay.
Anything else? Could we just make a motion on this?
Consent and then open.
Okay. The motion is for is there a motion for the resolution?
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-03.
Second.
Motion moved second. Any comments from the audience? You have a question?
The resolution is just the resolution and not this paper we were just given, correct? Not the adjustment to the policy.
You're approved.
Yes, this resolution adds this to the city personnel policy. So the city personnel policy now would have a new date of being updated March 13th, 2025. I think, Roxanne, was the last time, 2018? Yeah, so this will be updating the personnel policy.
I just need a second to finish reading it.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second?
There's a motion second. Heather wants to read the question she goes on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm almost finished.
Go ahead, take your time.
It's a good start. If you could do some tweaking later on, but it's a good start.
You're getting the basic directions from that law.
It gets us in the door. Where we're right before.
Yeah, okay.
All good? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I oppose?
No, I'm not opposed. I was eating a drink when they
Oh,
voted.
okay. All right, let's try it again. All in favor?
I'm just a little slow on the eye.
Sorry, we got caught swallowing. All right, motion moved and passed. Approved.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay, we're the event of the application for the car show. This is an annual show that we've had. I don't know how many years they've been here, but they are been a good tenant, I'll say. They provide a lot of their own porta potties and things of that nature. So, any discussion or a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the car show.
Motion moved.
Second.
Motion moved and second. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so it passes. Moving down to the quasi judicial hearing. Has anyone had any ex parte with any of the buildings that are on this list? No. No, I have not. No. Okay. Scott, how do you want to do this?
As we, our tradition.
Like consent.
Yeah, it's like
The consent agenda.
If somebody wants to talk specifically about one of those, we will pull it. Otherwise, we will make a motion to address all of those that have not been pulled. And if there's none pulled, one motion will approve all of those.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I make a motion we approve quasi judicial hearing COAs for A, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second it.
Well, what's E about? A new sign?
That's the pizza place's new sign, I believe.
I'd like to pull that.
Okay, then I change my motion to A, B, C, D.
And I,
B, C, D, and that's
I'll
still
still second it.
All right.
You can go on that, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
You can go ahead and vote on that motion.
All right, yeah.
And then come back to E.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Let's talk to the Pizza Hut.
What's going on? I'm understanding that there's two colored signs. There's a sign out on the road, sort of like in a marquee, that's in the Italian flag colors. But the sign on the building itself is sort of like an orange background with red letters. And is that what's holding this up for these people to open up for business?
I can answer that for you, Lynn, but let's separate the two. Nothing about a sign is stopping them opening up for business. Anything you're reading on Facebook.
This is not Facebook.
No, but everybody is blaming the city. Holding these people up. We're not holding them up. They don't have all the permits. They just got their hood in. They're completely changing the whole operation from cooking to having. That's the delay. So they could open without this sign. So the sign is there. Now, the Historic Preservation Committee didn't like the orange sign. And what they want them to do is come back with a sign like you see on the first page. That is one of those greens, you know, either the green, the white, or the red, and black letters, you know, and there's somewhere they pointed out in their code that talks about signs or what have you. So we haven't gotten an answer back from the applicant on whether they're okay with that. But this sign is not stopping them from opening business.
So there's signs
I know
there
there was-
that are different colors for other businesses. And if these poor people are losing money every day they're not open, so it has to do with other permitting issues.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
What they did was they were buying equipment from a restaurant that was closing in Deltona.
I heard about that.
When they were going to receive them, when the restaurant in Deltona received their new stoves, there was a delay in them receiving their new stoves, which caused a delay for Roma Pizza to receive theirs. It was kind of changing that route. That's the delay in them opening, is getting all their permitting for their hood system, their new stoves, and all that stuff.
As long as it's not the signs, because there's some controversy there, because there's other signs there for same businesses that are different colors. So, and I read signs. Okay.
There's no controversy.
So is the Historic Preservation Board not on board with these signs?
No, they're on board with the one on page 159, Roma green, white, and red, which is
The
the
Italian
Italian.
flag.
Yeah, the
So
flag.
So we're only voting on the one?
And you see that already on the
Right,
marquee.
right.
And they want to change the sign on the building to this one. And they've sent back to them, asking them would they consider, changing that to one of the other colors, green, white, or red, and then putting black letters. That would be kind of similar to what's on the other.
And are they gonna do that?
That.
But then we're not voting on that. I mean, why are we voting on it if it's not been approved?
I don't know if they're a condition.
No. See condition below.
Yes, so they've written no on the sign color, see condition, so you could vote tonight to approve it on them resolving their sign color with the HPD. If that would be that's the only issue with the HPD.
I'd rather just wait and let them approve it.
Well, the other thing you could do, for timing, is you could approve it if they change their, the sign on the building to be consistent with the conditions set forth by the HPD. Now, if they don't want to do that, then they got to go back to HPD, work it out, and they'll come back to you again for another approval. But you can say, we approve the two signs as long as the wall sign is as conditioned by the Historic Preservation Board. So if they come back and they do that, then it doesn't have to come back to you all later. Then we don't have to worry about it.
And if the owner doesn't want to change, then he can appeal that decision to the commission.
Right.
So, with other businesses being there with two different colored signs for the same business, does that mean they got grandfathered in that they can have different colored signs? And at some point in the history of Lake Ellen, we've changed it now to where, maybe it's a reflective problem at night. I don't feel that I've got enough information to make a decision, but if it's permitting and not the signs, that's a lot of money to lose every day.
Because HCD doesn't have anything to do with them open or not open. They're just dealing with the aesthetics, and so the sign is there. And these folks can open with the Papa Pizza sign, because that sign is grandfathered and it's there, so they can open while that issue of the sign is made.
They actually don't even have employees yet. We put out a request for them to come in and apply for positions, so.
The way that and you're answering the questions of why the other signs are different and this one is being required to meet, it is considered, even though they're coming into an existing business, it's new ownership, so it's classified as a new business, and they have to meet the current codes, not past codes. So they're starting over like scratch, brand new, a clean slate. So they have to meet everything according to current codes.
Someone had just asked me about an issue like that, had nothing to do with us, but in the land they had, they opened up a new business. The board building has a sign on it, and a new business came in and they wanted to use the same sign, but the old sign had not been approved, so therefore they were not approved. They went, how could the old sign be there? Okay, because you're new, so you gotta be up.
It's kind of stupid.
We got a lot of businesses upset in Deltona when the old businesses closed down and new people moved in. And we've had a requirement since they became a city that all new businesses had to have sprinkler systems. The old one didn't have to have sprinkler systems. So now the people moving into a new business had to install a sprinkler system. And that got a lot of people upset because those aren't cheap.
Well, I guess my thing is, so now we know it's permitting. We know they're actively looking for employees. It's not the sign issue. Let me see if I've got this correct. If the historic board says no again, then these people can appeal to the commission.
Well, this historic board is just an advisory board.
Right.
And so, the condition that's, the recommendation that came from the historic board is the approval with one condition. The one condition is building sign color to match colors or pick a color from the proposed road sign.
Yeah.
That's the condition. Now, you can approve it with that condition, and then if the applicant doesn't agree with that condition, they can go back to the historic board, and the historic board can make a new recommendation to y'all to make a decision. But if they do agree, the applicant does agree with that condition, you've approved it. So they don't have to come back to y'all to delay it and say, well, let's wait till it, it gets finalized. Then you're now delaying approving the sign. Now, the sign may not.
I want to avoid, yes.
What's that? So it's going. My suggestion would be approve. If you support what the historic board said, approve it. And if the applicant doesn't like it, they can go back to the historic board, and the historic board will send it back to you again with a new recommendation, or maybe the same recommendation. So it will come back to you unless the applicant agrees. If the applicant agrees, the historic board nor this body will hear it again because it's been approved, and they can go ahead and do something.
Okay.
See, I see the sign as pizza sauce with cheese. You have some, yeah, it's common sense.
It's high up and it's.
Yeah, I know, but the HPV went back and read some color palette thing and whatever, yeah. I know.
We want small businesses in here, but,
But again, they can't open without the sign. They can leave the bottles up.
Okay. So we have a motion.
Well, she's not here.
Who?
Charlie.
Oh, sure. I didn't see her slip out. Okay. All right. Hold that thought.
Question, Mr. Mayor. Could another option be approved as per what Roland would like?
I'm sorry?
Could it not be approved with no condition? That could be an option also.
It has been given to us with, if you accept it.
Yeah, it can be approved.
It's their option.
As long as they meet the requirements of HPV.
And it doesn't have to come back to us.
You override the HPV if you want.
Yeah, to answer this question, yes.
That could be an option tonight too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you agree with the HPV, then you can approve that condition. If you don't agree with HPV, you could approve it and say we want to sign another sign.
So we could approve it.
First thing I question HPV
With the condition. This is what we approve based on what the HPD had recommended. If you agree with it, it goes up. If you don't agree with it, then go back to square one. That's the deepest that we can do it. Oh, she's back.
Just so we're clear, the HPV is an advisory board to y'all.
Right.
You don't have to take their advice. They're just advisory.
So we could vote tonight to say, let them go ahead and keep the signage as is.
Well, the sign that they proposed, you could say the proposed sign, I guess the sauce and cheese sign?
That's pizza sauce with cheese.
Yeah, that one is acceptable to y'all. You could say that, yes. And that would be kind of overruling the historic preservation board.
I really think since we all agree that we want small businesses in here, that we should try to make it as simple as possible. And that, because there's a yellow and red sign that looks like pizza sauce and cheese, and the other one is the color of the green flag, or the Italian flag, that should make really no difference. Let's try to make it as easy on these businesses to walk through the door and start, making money and literally servicing the community. That's just my opinion. I would personally say, forget it, signs great, both signs are great, and we approve.
But also understand that when we make exceptions for one, we make exceptions for all.
No.
And there are things down the road that
But we've been doing that all along.
You set the precedent.
we set the precedent.
We do have a sign ordinance.
I would have preferred someone from the historic board to have been here to explain their reasoning, because I'm reading the ordinance that they presented here to justify their thing, and I'm not seeing anything in there about colors. I would like their information on why they're requiring color thing, because right here, wall signage for identification of individual buildings within the property shall be permitted. Signage for principal building or accessory building shall not exceed 1 1/2 square feet per linear front footage for such building up to a maximum of 80 square feet. Signage for all other individuals shall not exceed a maximum of 20 square feet. Maximum vertical dimension of the wall signage shall not exceed 2 feet. There's nothing in there that says about colors.
Roger, there 4.10.23 says colors. But I don't think there's anything that specifically talks about that the colors have to be the same on both sides.
And when you think the sign is the exact same size.
Which
4.10.23, it's under the top of the third page, I think. Right above where it says property owner affidavit.
Natural, cool, earth tone color signs are permitted, green, blue, brown, must complete colors and structure and project as fluorescent colors perimeter, colors that deem loud, flashy, garment shall be prohibited. Total number of codes, any one sign should be limited in order to avoid confusion. Sign shall always strive to provide a contrast of lettering to ensure legibility. Light letters utilized for dark sign backgrounds. Dark letters for light backgrounds, color combination that interfere with the legibility of the sign. It meets all those requirements. I don't see what their problem is, except for the green, blue, brown, earth tones. They're using pizza colors instead.
I don't get to weigh in on that.
That's why I would like for them to have been here to explain their reasonings for it.
And the applicant themselves has not weighed in on whether this is a hardship? Correct?
Yeah, this was just done at the last meeting. Well, we haven't heard back from the applicant on that, because they're still dealing with their permit and whatever, because the sign cannot stop them from opening. But, you know, if they step back and say, no, we want to do that, then the HDB would say, no, we want the other, and then it would come back to you all in April.
Well, I say, let's hear from the applicant and approve it as the HPB advised us. I mean, we don't know if this is even an issue. They may not, it may be a non-issue. We're sitting here debating it. Let's wait to hear from them.
I make a motion, we table for clarification.
I second.
Motion no for clarification.
In that table would not prevent them opening up in reference to all the other permit stuff, as long as the existing sign is sitting up there, so that wouldn't hurt them.
Well, there's two signs. Do you approve the one? Do you approve the other one if you're not approving the one on the building?
There's two signs.
Well, they're tied together in one application, so it's easier just to table the whole thing and then to separate it into two separate permits.
Or we could approve it, and if they have an issue, then they could go back to the HPB again.
Right, because if
I want clarification from the HPB.
If we don't approve it, then they won't be able to open, is that correct?
No.
Okay.
The sign is not stopping this.
Okay. All right, did you hear that?
Debbie said that he has not agreed or disagreed yet.
He's waiting on his designer to make a mock-up to see what it would look like.
Okay.
So it's his approval is still kind of pending. So if you hold it, if you pull it back, then it's not going to hold anything because he still hasn't looked at it.
It's welcome to Lake Helen now. We can show you what we want, and if you want to go along with it, then I'm agreeing with that. He's not pushing this issue, the owner. But it's the, I think it's the, maybe the internet that's pushing it. It makes it more than.
I read the packet.
I didn't read the packet, I'm just saying. If he is, when I say welcome to Lake Helen, he might have thought that this is just, you know, just an ordinarily way of doing business. The things that we have now extrapolated it to, it might not have been what he even considered to. Yeah. So
Signs are so expensive, I just can't see.
let's.
I think the only thing that will be delayed is delaying him ordering the sign.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a delay, you've got to order a sign to be made, so he's just going to be delaying ordering the sign until it comes back to y'all for approval.
So motion was to
Table for clarification.
Motion moved for tabling. Motion second. All in favor? Any comments?
No.
One no, and I'll agree. No.
So that's,
You better do it by zone, because I heard a mixture of yeses and nos all at the same time.
Okay. Zone 1.
No.
Zone 2.
Yes.
Zone 3.
Yes.
Zone 4.
Yes.
And I say no.
Okay,
so,
2 to 3.
so pass three to two.
It still passes.
So stay till next meeting.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Can't wait for the pizza.
Me too.
You've been to Deltona, you already tasted it. They were good for 60 days and then they went down.
Yeah, it changed.
That's why.
That's what happens to the New York pizza or in Victoria Park. But I digress.
Hey, hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Who seconded that motion? That motion?
That emotion?
That's what I thought it was you.
Who
seconded that motion?
Mr. Lewis.
Okay.
Okay.
Let us second it.
Yes. All right, we'll move down the road. The administrative report?
Yes, sir, the one thing we've got in here, and I guess Scott and I, as you know, we have struggled for a long time to try to find a special magistrate for some time. And so at the last meeting I had with the county manager and the other Volusia city managers, I was able to get a couple of leads on potential special administrators for the city.
Special magistrate.
Magistrate, yeah, sorry. Some don't think so. So the issue there is not only the code cases we have, but with the school cameras going in that ordinance, the special magistrate is the one that kind of is the arbitrator.
That's where the tickets go to.
Yeah, so we've got to get that, and so we got two firms, one was out of Daytona. Scott went ahead and made some calls, and reached out to them. And so we did get a proposal from the storage law firm out of Daytona for a special magistrate. That would be on an hourly basis. And I think the fact that it's an acting practicing attorney, which is what you see in a lot of special magistrates, that I think we better serve in terms of the professional aspect of how they go forward. If you recall, we did do a bid, and the only response we got was a firm out of Wakula or what have you, but they wanted $1,800 a month, whether you had any cases or not. These charges would only be per case in reference to that.
And it's kind of come up because, like Jim said, we know this traffic citation camera ordinance is going to eventually need a special magistrate. But we've had two code issues where, we had one where somebody kept asking, are we going to the special magistrate? And we didn't have a special magistrate to go to. And I was talking with staff about another code case which may or may not have worked its way out, but ultimately, if it did work its way out, it was going to need to go through code enforcement. And we need to have something there. We need to have a process where when we have a code violation, we have a place to take it to. These attorneys, I've worked with them, they do a lot of code enforcement defending people who have code violations. They are also, basically their primary practice is on land use zoning issues, so they're very knowledgeable on that. And also, Glenn Storch served as not that it matters, but he served as the special, or the mediator, that helped mediate our dispute with the land over the auto mall. Or the, not the auto mall, what was it called?
The annexation?
Yeah, the annexation.
Annexation for the auto mall.
Dispute for the auto mall property, the auto mall, okay. What's it called on 95, that auto mall too? No.
No, 95 is the, you talk about all the car
Yeah,
dealerships.
Daytona.
Daytona.
Daytona Auto Mall.
For some reason, I thought that was called something other than auto mall. It was auto mall over here too? Okay. But he was the mediator that I recommended and we selected to help mediate that issue to resolve it, because there was a lot of land use zoning issues involved with that dispute. So that, if we have a land use zoning dispute when they come through there, they are very, very well versed in that, and they also do represent property owners before other jurisdictions who have been cited and are brought before the special magistrate. So they're very well versed in the code enforcement process. The way our ordinance is set up is that both Jim and I have to make a joint recommendation to y'all on it. We went through their application to make sure that they had all the requirements and made representations. They don't own property, don't have a business in the city, active attorneys, and have never been disbarred by any jurisdiction. I think those are the requirements of our code. So I think Jim and I are jointly recommending affirmative to you.
Discussion?
Did you say they're going to be paid hourly?
Yes.
And there's not a retainer of $1,800?
That's a different, that was when we went out for proposals, we went out for bids, and the one bid we got was from a firm that went $1,800 a month. Whether we had a
Any case or not, we have to pay them $1,800 a month.
Yeah. Is there one, is the,
Yeah, that's, and I was wondering if it was this.
No, I was just giving you the background, that was the only one we got, we went out previous on that.
this thing
So,
for,
having the hourly rate, and I think, Brandon's not here tonight, but I think it's actually lower than what we were paying magistrate, but I'm not sure.
We weren't sure what was as much as
is there, with the magistrate being brought in, and if there's a winner or loser, does any one of the parties have to pick up that cost?
There's not a prevailing party situation there. Well, I know some jurisdictions do, we can look to see if our code provides for it. Like in Holly Hill, when someone's found in violation, there is an administrative fee that's charged, fine, $200-something. And then to kind of help cover the cost of that, that's part of the fine, and there's a per day fine. If the person, usually what happens, they're found in violation, the administrative fine is levied, then they're given so many days to come into compliance. If they don't come into compliance with those number of days, then there's a per day fine that accumulates up until compliance occurs.
And that per diem fine does not, it goes to the city, or does the magistrate get any?
No, it goes to the city.
All right, it's just, yes.
The magistrate would only get what's there, but it's very possible, based on, like I said, if they're not the prevailing party, they're basically covering that cost.
Or help covering that.
Yeah.
Hey, Mayor.
It's like court costs.
And then
When you get a court case or whatever, then you also get court costs.
But we don't know what the hourly rate is.
$195.
I just want to say that I promote for this to go through, and I have been dealing with things since November. I have 2 citations, he has not paid any of them. The next step is take to a magistrate, and I can't even enforce that for him not paying the citations. And he now owes, I think it was what, $450, I said to you, $75, $150, and $250.
So it's not having the magistrate is
Correct, and that's the next step, and he has done nothing to correct the problem, and the neighbors legit dealing with barking dogs for hours.
We have to have some way to enforce our codes. Whether it's a special magistrate, whether it's a code enforcement board, whether it's a county court, we need to have some way to do it. Right now, our code provides for a special magistrate. Code enforcement boards, really turn political. That is getting really, really political, really, really quick. In the county court, that gets expensive because then I got to do it. I got to go over there, and so this is a little bit less expensive way to handle this.
Okay.
Most jurisdictions do special magistrates.
In reference to the cost though, my concern is that it says Mr. Posey's fee structure is $195 per hour with a portion of the costs covered by code case violators. This says portion. So does that mean that the city is handling the rest?
Well, the city's paying it all. You're paying it all.
So we're not passing that on?
No, we are, but what happens if the person doesn't pay? Or we can't collect it from the person? So that's what they're saying is, usually their cost is offset to some degree based on whether it's a fine or collected. So it gets collected, but the city will get a bill from the firm based on the number of hours times $195 an hour, and we have to pay that. Then anything that's collected from the respondent, who is the property owner, comes to the city, and that you can kind of view that as an offset.
Eventually, non-payment, you can end up with a lien process.
There's a lien, and then we could make a foreclose. A lot of times there will be a request to reduce fines. If the property gets into compliance, they'll come back and request a reduction of fines. That can either go to the special magistrate or it can come to this body. But we will factor in the cost that we paid to the special magistrate plus staff time in. Jim will take all that into consideration in making any recommendation to you to reduce the fine. We just haven't done that because honestly, we haven't been very active with code enforcement.
I can say that the goal is to not have many of these, as Joe would say, is to try to get them to comply. This only helps us when the person basically says, I don't care what you say.
And understand this.
Mechanism that's the magistrate's got the power to say, this is going to be X amount of days. And a lot of times, like Scott said, they may give them 30 days, they may give them 60 days. They come back in 30 to 60 days and they've done nothing. That special magistrate says that fine that I'm sending you now goes back to day one of your 30 days to your 60 days. So they've got the ability.
Understood.
Now, just understand that the big limitation that we have with these code fines is there's nothing we can do with them on homestead property. So if it's somebody's homestead, we can sit there and have $1 million fine and there's nothing we can do. And that's really, and it's a good limitation, but it is a limitation. And that's no different. It's not just for code fines. You can't collect judgments against people's homesteads either. The credit card companies can't go against homesteads. So it's just considered a judgment. By law, it's a judgment against the person. We just can't collect it on homestead.
We're talking about the signage that the gentleman came in that you knew from Mascot, you were going with, where they pick up the mileage and the tags and all that kind of stuff. This is why we need this magistrate in City Hall or wherever they're going to be sitting. I was under the impression that we're going to be splitting that cost.
That's a totally different issue. I'm talking about code enforcement. That's not code enforcement. You're talking about traffic camera citations. Yes, however the revenue we collect from that will be collected that way.
But not through these people or through these people?
No, it will be through these people. They will be the enforcement. They will be the judge that rules on.
If somebody disputes the ticket, this is the person that would make the recommendation. So if somebody disputes a ticket in the school zone, the special magistrate is the designated judge, like going to traffic court.
Okay. I mean, that's the way I understand it's all supposed to fall out. But now is this guy going to be playing two roles for us?
Well, yeah, he will also handle junkyards, the cars, a house or somebody building without a permit and what have you. So code will all fall under that. But we need one specifically if we go to those cameras, but this person then will handle those cases that, as Joey said, we can't get the magistrate, so we can't get anybody in front of the judge.
But do we need a code enforcement officer to go out and look, to bring the information back to him?
Well, that's what they're doing, and then they build the case that goes to the special magistrate. The magistrate's the judge.
Yeah, we do the code enforcement, so
Yeah,
we go
we
out.
build the case.
That's why, one of the reasons that in the beginning, we work with people before we issue the violation, just like the talk without the tent. We go out and work with them and get them to come into compliance because it saves the city money without paying this guy to go straight to a magistrate. And 75% of people will do it. Say, listen, this is your chance to do it before I start paperwork and it's entered into our system on your house. And most people will correct the problem, and so But you got certain gentlemen like this guy that just basically gives me a middle finger and tells me to go F off, that he's not breaking the law, and his dog's barking for 2-3 hours a night. And the guy next to him is pissed off and wants to know why I don't do nothing. I said, I've done what I can do, I wrote 3 citations. I says, we don't have a magistrate. I said, so I told him last time that this was being worked out in the works, and he's very hoping that it happens, because that's the next step for us to go to.
And I get that, and I get that we've got to have a magistrate, it's just that this thing keeps evolving. So now, because we haven't had code enforcement, every time I've asked about code enforcement, we don't have anyone.
We've always had code enforcement, Linda. I was hired and started as code enforcement. I've done code enforcement after I did not do it for a while. Caleb Gruber was the one doing code enforcement. I went to night shift.
We've had conversations.
Trevor was doing code enforcement after that. The chief also does code enforcement. And then since Trevor has been gone, I picked up doing code enforcement again. Some of it gets debatable because we've been low staffed. So right now I'm covering a night shift because the guy quit. So I'm not going to go, I go to people's houses.
We don't have a full-time code enforcement officer. It's always been filled
Well,
as
that's what we've
part-time.
discussed about you moving on in Orange City, and that we don't have a code enforcement officer.
Oh, yeah, we don't have
We
one
knew
yet.
that someone was trained on the police department that would do it, but, so now we're getting everything lined up. Someone in the police department, I guess you, are gonna be the code enforcement officer, and we'll have the flashing lights and everything, and the magistrate will take care of everything, correct?
Magistrate will be the judge on code cases and the tickets.
We typically really only have code enforcement when there's a complaint, it's complaint driven. So it's not like code enforcement.
We're a reactive code enforcement agency.
Well, where are we?
You need a vote on that?
We need a motion, and then.
You can have discussion.
The motion on that was,
I got a blue ticket on that.
Would they have to make a motion?
We're gonna get ready to discuss it. Stay there, we're gonna get going. I make a motion, we accept the proposal of the appointment of the new special magistrate, Joseph Posey.
I guess I would say the Glenn Storch Law Firm. It's good, because it could be.
The Storch Law Firm.
A different attorney could might put in based on their state.
Appoint new special magistrate from the Storch Law Firm. As recommended by the administrator.
we have a second.
Second.
Motion moved in second.
Discussion.
You're on.
Nope, I didn't know if it would go good. Ron Parrott, 451 West Michigan. I guess I'm a little confused, they've kind of touched on it a little bit. The $195 an hour to fight a $100 traffic ticket, correct? Who's gonna pay that $195 when that guy wants to go get the traffic ticket? Because this traffic, now be $300?
Whatever the fines are in there, the city pays for the magistrate to be there.
So we're gonna pay $200
But you're assuming.
to win $100.
You're assuming the traffic case will take an hour. What happens if it takes 15 minutes and he does
He's gonna
4?
drive over here on his own dime.
No, I'm just saying, what if
If
the special
he
magistrate
leaves
goes
from his
through,
office,
so what if special magistrate goes through 4 traffic tickets in an hour? We just collected $400.
We would set up a time, and all those court
So-
cases would be held at the same time.
we paid 100 and got 100.
No,
Did we
you paid
get
100 and got 400.
Ron, the law requires due process.
Yeah.
Well, it's your decision what you want to
Then,
do.
then the other due process is the civil court and him, and that's gonna cost you a lot more.
Code-
What's costing us
Your
more?
traffic cameras are gonna cost you more by bringing in this law firm.
What is costing the city more, maybe not in dollars and cents, is non-compliance. If you're not complying, your neighbors ticked off about something, well, who's gonna do something about it? Well, we don't have a magistrate.
Well,
So then-
I've been here 10 years, and we haven't been doing anything about it.
Well, Ron,
Yeah, like I said, it's a complaint-driven system here.
that's a predicament that we're into, is if we do nothing, the citizens are gonna complain that we're doing nothing. If we do something, the citizens are gonna complain that we're doing something. So, that's something that we're here to accept. We take it both ways.
It's just always money going out, no money coming in. That's the problem.
That's not faction, that's not faction,
It's
that's
not
not
faction.
faction. No,
Well, then don't keep on raising our property taxes, then it's not factual.
I don't raise your property
Yes, you-
taxes.
well,
Your commission does, sir.
Let's stay on the topic at hand.
Well,
Thank you,
Ron,
I was
Ron.
questioning.
Ron, thank you. I appreciate it.
The whole idea was to put all the tickets on one day.
We had a motion, we had a second, we had discussion. I take for the vote.
Can I?
Any further discussion from the commission?
Yes. I am following where Ron's going with this, and so if City Hall staff can try as diligently as possible to bring in enough cases on one day that we at least make some money and not lose money every time we bring the attorney in, I think that would be really beneficial.
Lynn, you're absolutely right. We wouldn't have them come in case by case. We would set a day on the month. And so people who then protest their ticket, because we're probably going to get a bunch when that first goes in terms of that. So it would all be coordinated, so that time is efficient in there, so that he's hearing multiple cases that come in.
What's happening to the tickets that are being written now?
There are no tickets. The cameras aren't up, they're not running.
But we got cops out on the street.
No, those aren't the red light cameras.
No,
The
I
school
know.
cam, no, those cameras, those tickets don't go to a special magistrate. They go to your traffic, uniform traffic. They have nothing to do with the magistrate.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, right now, we've got.
Police tickets don't go here. These are strictly the ticket that would be
Yeah,
generated by
that
that
goes
camera.
with this past discussion. But my question is, with officers on the streets, forget the cams coming in, about how many tickets are we writing a month?
If they're not in the chief's report, I'll have to ask him to give you that.
I didn't see it.
It all depends, but the difference being with the magistrate, the reason why we're gone this way is, we write a citation for speeding or anything else, the city, we only get like $16 to $22 depending on what the ticket is. If I write a $356 ticket, the city gets paid, I think it's like $24 out of that money. Most of the money gets scarfed up by the clerk of courts. So the reason that part was set up was talking the first meeting and putting it on one day, like once a month for all only go to, is a city underneath ordinance can collect more money from that fine than you're going to get if we send it to the clerk of courts. The clerk of courts can do whatever they want with it,
But if I remember correctly too, Joe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, these cams are gonna be up only for certain periods of time.
Correct.
Schools are out, they're down.
Mhm.
So what are we gonna be doing about tickets during that time?
There won't be tickets.
There won't be tickets because of those school zone that we're worried about.
Regular tickets, speeding, things like that, all the other tickets, they go through the court system.
Traffic.
They go to traffic court. These don't go to traffic court.
It's a camera that takes the picture and then the picture is then processed without having to have an interaction with the driver. Most of probably the most perilous part of law enforcement are traffic stops. And if it comes down to a situation where we can get compliance without having to have interaction and without having to put people at risk, that works in one hand or another. Right now, I go back to what I said initially. Without compliance, things can keep going. As I say, it can keep kicking it down the road. You can't expect someone to slow down and the guy that's in the back of them is blowing their horn. I mean,
I do just to see how loud he can blow his horn.
Just, yeah. At least with our officers
I
being
voted for the system.
Let me finish. At least with our officers having another tool. The other tool is that camera, although it is only taking pictures during the school day, the pictures can be, am I understanding, if there's something were to come up, that we needed to access that camera that had nothing to do with a school.
That's correct. We can still have the opportunity to use them as a.
So that's another tool that we have in our quiver, so we can be put into the law enforcement barrel, that we can, you're not just gonna walk away, you're not just gonna get away. So we don't have that at all right now. With the number of people that we have, when you say the other officers just not quit, You said, oh, she just.
Well, we are the ones that just got replaced.
The ones
One of them that we had to leave. The biggest thing I think for this one is we have an ordinance that states that we will go to the magistrate for people that we cannot do, so we can't even follow our ordinance, we're asking people to follow it. So we have to have a magistrate.
Yes.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
My concern is the safety. I get it that they gotta go someplace to pay. We bought into this system, we've got to buy into a magistrate. But that system is only gonna be up for a certain period
Yeah,
of
but-
time. Now, tonight you say that, well, we can keep it up all the time.
I didn't say
No,
that.
no, no,
I
no.
didn't
It's
say
saying for
that.
school, but what I'm saying is you're voting on a magistrate. So if you took the cameras out of the equation, like that would never even happen, and it's not gonna happen, you still need a magistrate. Because I cannot go code enforcement, you guys want us to follow code for, people say, city don't do nothing, police department don't do nothing for code enforcement, you're correct, you know why? You don't have a magistrate where you go to. So when somebody gives me the middle finger and says, F off, what do you want me to do? There's nowhere to go?
Thank you, Shelley.
Well, we don't need code enforcement then.
So I'm just trying to simplify your thing for tonight as the magistrate is, no matter whether or not we have a camera or not, we still have to have a magistrate.
Yes.
And that I get, I'm just trying to find out, never mind, business part of it, which I'm not supposed to do.
During those months the school is out, there won't be tickets issued, so the magistrate won't have to come and hear any appeals. So we won't spend the money on
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to get to. And I thought I made myself very clear.
And what we'll do is we'll schedule code enforcement hearings and these ticket hearings on the same day. So the person's not driving here more than once.
I think the biggest threat that we're addressing is that we're talking about children that are walking back and forth to school. And if the drivers don't give a darn about the kids, then we should be able to address that. And whether the dollar and cents add up, if our kids walking to school have at least one modicum of protection, that the guy that goes around a school bus, if it happens, that we have some way to address it. I think that's, it's not a trade-off, but, you know, better than what we have now.
Mayor, there's still a disconnect. I think Commissioner Donato's not arguing with that.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to know what happens on those other times, so, and I think we explained that. If there's no tickets being issued from May 30th till August 5th, we don't ever have to worry about that person coming out, holding any cases and reviewing any tickets, other than the code cases Joey are talking about.
Right.
Where somebody built something and didn't pull a permit, you know, or they've got junk cars in their yard, and maybe there's somebody who wants them out. Then they would focus on that, and again, you would set up one special day. So if you have multiple cases, you would try to get them all done, so that we would try to make efficiency of this.
Could we make efficiency during this meeting, please?
Thank you, Phil. Where are we now? We're down to, the motion to, I'm sorry, magistrate. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No opposed? Aye, and in favor? So that. Down to now the, city administrator's report, the public works, Rick.
Good evening. I'm here tonight just to have you guys approve the two estimates we have in your packet there, Mr. Rowley and Mr. Holt, as a general maintenance worker at 18. During the budget process, you approved those two positions, and we're trying to fill them here tonight.
Are they here?
No, sir, they're not.
Discussion. Or a motion, which is this?
I only have one question. I think it's really right. The finally getting them in, because like I said, I think we should.
We went through
sides.
a lot of applications. A lot. Over the time period, but most of them had jobs before you get to them. A lot of people won't wait a month to get hired. Tell them you gotta wait 3 weeks, depends on when you do it. they go seek another job, they just can't wait that long.
Well, I haven't been able, Ricky, to really review these,
Mhm.
besides that, I can't really read the writing on it, so you're gonna have to help me out. My one concern, as I brought up in the workshop, and was kind of like, you know, laid out a little bit, but skilled people.
Correct.
Are these people skilled?
They're general maintenance workers, they do have some skills, but we can't find skilled people out there that are gonna come in for 18, 20, 25 dollars an hour. We end up having to go with general maintenance, we'll train them. Some of them have certain skills, yes, but they don't have everything. We just can't get it for what we offer.
Can they
It's
fix a toilet in the bathroom in the park?
Yes, yeah, we're gonna,
I mean, we've got general.
yeah, we're gonna take care of that. We're gonna train them on the things like that and take care of that.
Okay.
Each one of them has, Mr. Holt here, he was in the military, as you can see, but after he got out of there, he did some cable-like work and stuff like that. He goes up in the bucket truck, things like that. So we're hoping to train him on the Christmas tree, to do the Christmas tree, exactly. Yeah, I'll check it, I'm definitely way ahead.
Okay, that's my main concern, is that we are really right-sizing and putting skilled people in to the positions, because we're just defeating whatever goal we're trying to meet. So if they can do some woodwork, pull out some rock woodwork, and leave you up to do what you're supposed to do, like, you know, directing them or whatever, that's my concern.
Yes, ma'am.
And they will be on a probationary period.
Yeah, we have 6
If you
months.
find out they don't work out,
That's a long probationary period too.
Actually, pretty standard, like the county does, I think it's 6 months.
It's in our policy.
In our policy.
Yeah, I know it.
You were a year.
1 year.
My wife was a year with supervisor elections, 1 year.
And I'm of the belief that with Ricky looking over their shoulders or Ricky leading them, I'm sure throughout this application process, I think he kind of scouted out who was and who wasn't. So I trust him, and
Mayor, and I also can add that Roxanne and I were in the interviews with Ricky and going that, and so.
And we went through the applications together too, and called people, a lot of people already had jobs before we could get to it. I mean, it's hard, you can ask the county, there's so many jobs, there are 30, 40 jobs, and just in distribution, they can't get people to come in. When they do, one guy got hired, and he didn't even show up for work, one guy come in an hour late, and everything. It's just the market, the way they are out there. So we can get people here and train them, but if they don't work out, we have an option to be able to say, hey, it's gonna